Chapter 2566. Brother Yi, are you hiding your identity because the upper echelons of the sect wanted you to? Do they want you to make a name for yourself in the 7-sect tournament? After studying this matter, Sikong Xiang asked curiously. He and Mei Ruoshua joined the Tianyun school at this time. It was obvious that they had plans for the 7-sect tournament. The two of them had backers in the Tianyun school, so they knew more about the 7-sect tournament than Night Sorrow. They knew that the 7-sect tournament's rewards were very generous. It's because of this consideration. Night Sorrow nodded and admitted. With Brother Ye's help, the Tianyun school will definitely shine in the Feather God group this time. However, our Tianyun school doesn't have any experts in the High God realm. The highest ranking person is only ranked 11th on the High God list. It would be embarrassing if they went. Si Kongxiang already knew some things about the Tianyun school before he joined the sect. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, no one can be sure about these things. What if a high god expert appears in the sect? Maybe. Si Kongxiang nodded and stared at Night Sorrow. Brother Yi, I want to ask you for a favor. What is it? Night Sorrow asked. I want to ask you to be my brother-in-law. You don't know, but my sister Sikong Chinchua has been bewitched by that pretty boy Mu Baiyu. I think there's something wrong with that Mu Baiyu. He seems to know some sorcery. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter. Night Sorrow was speechless. He thought for a moment and asked, isn't Mu Baiyu the #1 genius in the Tianyun school? Logically speaking, he doesn't need to know sorcery to make many female disciples fall for him, right? He definitely knows sorcery. Otherwise, why would Mei Ruoshua lose her appetite after seeing him? When this matter was brought up, Si Kongxiang, who was Mei Ruoshua's childhood friend, was rather unhappy. Maybe his demeanor is indeed outstanding. Night Sorrow sighed and said, Brother Sikong, when are we leaving? He was already itching to take care of Nalanda and avenge Xian Jizi. It's fine if we leave immediately. We can go to the city at the foot of the mountain to relax. I'll let my sister know and we'll leave. Wait for me here. After Si Kongxiang finished speaking, he ran to Sikong Chenchua's mountain peak. After informing her, he came back and went down the mountain with Night Sorrow. There were still a few days before Nalanda's rendezvous in the ruined temple. The two of them strolled around the city at the foot of the mountain for a few days. Night Sorrow bought some female cultivator's supplies for his wife and daughter that were not available in the lower realm. Si Kongxiang carefully chose a gift for Mei Ruoshua. After purchasing the things, Si Kongxiang suggested, calculating it, it's about time. Let's go to that ruined temple in advance and wait. They always choose that place for their rendezvous. Okay. Let's go, let's ambush there. I'll set up a concealment array when the time comes. Night Sorrow responded and followed behind Si Kongxiang, flying to the ruined temple he mentioned. The ruined temple was on a barren mountain. There were few people here. If Si Kongxiang hadn't specifically investigated Nalanda, he definitely wouldn't have found any clues. Walking into the ruined temple, Night Sorrow observed for a while and set up an exquisite concealment array in a corner. Did you send someone to check the identity of that widow? Night Sorrow asked while waiting for Nalanda to arrive. I only found out that she's a widow in the city. I didn't find anything else. Si Kongxiang said truthfully. His target was Nalanda, not that widow. Naturally, he wouldn't investigate in detail. Then let's wait in peace. Night Sorrow sat cross-legged on the ground, waiting for Nalanda to arrive. After waiting for about 3 days, a sound came from outside the ruined temple. Then, a beautiful woman in a light yellow gauze dress slowly walked into the ruined temple. After entering the ruined temple, she vigilantly scanned her surroundings. Then, she used the power of her divine sense to investigate her surroundings. When she didn't find anything amiss, she took out a large bed covered in white tiger skin from her spatial artifact and lay down on it to rest. Baby, baby, I'm here. Not long after, Nalanda, who was burning with anxiety, ran in from outside. Seeing the woman on the tiger skin bed, he took off his clothes and threw himself on the bed, stripping her naked. After being intimate for a while, Nalanda wanted to take his spear and go to battle. At this time, the beautiful woman said, "Wait, did you bring the thing I wanted?" I brought it. This is a letter from Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun." Nalanda, who was in a hurry, took out an envelope from his spatial artifact and handed it to the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman under him took it and looked at it. Then, she nodded her head in satisfaction. She said charmingly, "Come." Nalanda, who had long been unable to hold back, immediately began to move. Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun's letter, could there be a conspiracy in it? Si Kongxiang transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow in the concealment array. I heard from Deputy Sect Leader Yuan that there might be a spy in Tianyun School. Now it seems that Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun is the spy. Night Sorrow frowned and said, "They use such primitive means to communicate with each other. There must be a secret that can't be revealed. Then what should we do? Kill them and read the contents of the letter." Si Kongxiang, who was already eager to try, looked at the constantly moving Nalanda and said, "If not for this unexpected discovery, we could have beaten Nalanda up right now. But after discovering this matter, we need to stay put to avoid alerting the enemy. After they leave, we will report to Deputy Sect Leader Yuan. If Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun colludes with outsiders, it will be a big blow to Tianyun School." Originally, Night Sorrow just wanted to beat Nalanda up and vent his anger for Xian Jizi. He didn't expect to accidentally stumble upon such a secret. He didn't want to alert the enemy, so he signaled Si Kongxiang to stay put. He took out an image stone and recorded the scene in front of him. "Brother Yi, you have this kind of hobby. You like to record other people doing it." Si Kongxiang was immediately surprised when he saw Night Sorrow's actions. "Record what? Words are useless. We naturally need to record evidence." Unfortunately, when they mentioned Deputy Sect Leader Ho Jun, they didn't start recording. Night Sorrow explained and continued recording. After Nalanda finished and left with the beautiful woman, he and Si Kongxiang left the barren mountain. After returning to Tianyun School, Night Sorrow immediately took Si Kongxiang to see Yuan Tianji. After seeing Yuan Tianji, Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang told him what they had just seen. What? Ho Jun actually asked Nalanda to deliver a letter for him to contact the people outside the sect. "Give this king the image stone you recorded." Yuan Tianji took the image stone from Night Sorrow's hand and looked at it. "This woman seems to be from Soaring Heaven sect." Ho Jun contacting her, "I don't know what he's planning. Could it be that he wants to attack Tianyun School from the inside?" Night Sorrow analyzed. "No. They wouldn't dare." Chapter 2567. The 7-sect Great Tournament is likely to be an ambush, right? Their intention is to cut off Tianyun School's future talents? Night Sorrow guessed. He hadn't been in the sect for long, but he could more or less guess. If a sect's Feather God grade and High God grade geniuses were all killed, the blow to their future would be fatal. Not only that, the one they want to deal with the most is probably Elder Qin Yuan. Yuan Tianji said angrily, "Elder Qin Yuan is an important figure in our camp and is this king's right-hand man. He will be leading the 7-sect Great Tournament, so Ho Jun probably wants to use this opportunity to get rid of him." If Ho Jun only wanted to compete for the position of sect master, Yuan Tianji wouldn't be so angry, but he was likely colluding with Soaring Heaven sect, which was the most shameful act. "If the other side cooperates with us and sends out enough masters, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to resist." Lu Qingyuan's face was a little gloomy. If Night Sorrow hadn't found some clues, he might have died 2 years later. To put it bluntly, this time he had borrowed Night Sorrow's luck, but what about the next time? If he was targeted again and again, he would fall for it sooner or later. Since they have made a move, it must be like a lion going all out to catch a rabbit. Yuan Tianji admitted that this matter was tricky. He pondered for a while and said, "But we already know about this matter. Not only do we have to solve this crisis, but we also have to give them a heavy blow. We have to record the entire process with a video crystal and publicize Ho Jun's scandalous deeds. Vice Sect Master, if we get rid of Ho Jun's forces, but the sect's vitality will be greatly damaged. Won't other sects covet it?" Lu Qingyuan asked worriedly. He had deep feelings for Tianyun School and didn't want the sect to completely decline. "We will be coveted and may be attacked in a probing manner, but if they want to seize the foundation of my Tianyun School, they won't dare." Yuan Tianji responded confidently. Looking at Night Sorrow and Si Kongxiang, he said, "You have to have confidence in the future of the sect. At the moment of life and death, our sect will erupt with a powerful foundation. Disciple also has confidence in the future of the sect. Disciple knows what the sect's foundation is." Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile, "Now, the sect not only has a foundation, but also Night Sorrow, so it will definitely rise. Us feather gods won't have much of an impact on this battle. If we want to rise up in the future, we have to give them a good beating." While Yi sect strength sects, Tianyun sects forces, his sect if Night Sorrow broke through to the high god realm, he would undoubtedly be able to compete with most of the divine monarchs, but Tianyun School was determined to win first place in the great competition, so after thinking about it, Yuan Tianji felt that he could only focus on spirit arrays and pills. He had already determined that Ho Jun and Soaring Heaven sect would act, so preparing some pills that could instantly restore divine qi or heal injuries would have a great impact on the battle. If he could take advantage of the terrain and arrange a spirit array that could affect the enemy's combat strength, it would be even more perfect. Night Sorrow is right. This time, this king will make them suffer. Wait for this king here for a while. Yuan Tianji said before leaving for a while, returning with a jade token in his hand. He handed the jade token to Night Sorrow and said, "This is the Seed Disciple Identity Jade token that this king personally refined for you. Wear it and you will be a Seed Disciple from now on." But Night Sorrow has yet to make any significant contributions to the sect, yet the Vice Sect Master directly promoted Night Sorrow to a Divine King Seed. Won't this cause you trouble? Looking at the jade token, Night Sorrow did not take it with his hand, fearing that it would cause trouble for the other party. There's no trouble. Tianyun School's sect master can recommend 2 people to become Divine King Seeds in his lifetime. The 2 vice sect masters each have 1 opportunity. This king will use this opportunity on you, Yuan Tianji explained. Night Sorrow, quickly accept it. You are worthy of becoming the first Divine King Seed in the history of the sect. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Accept it, Night Sorrow. As long as this king is in Tianyun School will do its best to cultivate you. Yuan Tianji's face showed a trace of expectation. All right, then I'll accept it. Night Sorrow will not let the 2 of you and the entire Tianyun School down. Since he had already decided to join the Tianyun School, Night Sorrow no longer hesitated. He took the jade token and cupped his hands. It's really different from the jade token of a core disciple. Seeing the Divine King Seed Identity Jade token in Night Sorrow's hand, Si Kongxiang said with envy. The Divine King Seed Identity Jade token was not only different from the core disciple token in terms of material and appearance, but it also represented a different meaning. If Night Sorrow wore the jade token outside, the outer and inner disciples would have to salute him when they met. Cultivate well. You have a bright future as well. Strive to reach Qinshua's level as soon as possible. The outstanding disciples of the Sikong family were all sent to Tianyun School. Yuan Tianji was very familiar with Si Kongxiang and encouraged him with a smile. Vice Sect Master. Si Kongxiang always felt that Sister Qinshue's infatuation with Mu Baiyu was a little abnormal. Do you think that Mu Baiyu cultivated some kind of evil technique? Si Kongxiang said with a look of displeasure. In the past, Si Kong Qinsue was immersed in cultivation. Now, her entire heart was tied to Mu Baiyu. This made him feel very strange. Ha! A person is like a rainbow. You will only know when you meet her. When you meet a woman that you truly like, you won't say that about Qinsue. Yuan Tianji smiled and said, Mu Baiyu's excellence is enough to crush an entire generation. It's normal for Qinsue to be moved by him. Could it be that I'm only Ruoshua's childhood friend and that I don't really like her? Si Kongxiang muttered and did not continue the conversation. At this time, Knight Sorrow suddenly thought of something and said, That's right, Vice Sect Master, Elder Lu. A few days ago, Soaring Heaven Sect sent a divine monarch called Qing Yangzi to recruit me. At that time, he raised a divine monarch-level demon in his divine artifact. I suspect that Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon. What? Otherworldly demon? Are you sure it's an otherworldly demon? Hearing this, a trace of shock appeared on Yuan Tianji's face. To the cultivators of the God realm, otherworldly demons were too evil and terrifying. I'm 90% sure that it's an otherworldly demon. Knight Sorrow said with certainty. Whether it's the ethereal mountain range or the dark forest, they are all forbidden areas of the God realm. Even a ruler would find it difficult to come out after entering. The fact that Qing Yangzi has an otherworldly demon is enough to explain the problem. Yuan Tianji said worriedly, otherworldly demons are evil by nature. They won't give up on destroying the God realm. If Soaring Heaven Sect has been infiltrated by an otherworldly demon, it's very likely that they don't care about the consequences of their actions against my Tianyun school. It seems that we need to make more preparations than expected. Yes, if an otherworldly demon infiltrates, the situation will be completely different. Lu Qingyuan's expression was equally serious. He suggested, should we send someone to follow Nalanda? No, he's just a pawn to deliver a message. We don't need to follow him. It's better to believe in this matter than not. Whether it's on the way there or when we return, we just need to be prepared for battle. Chapter 2568. After leaving Yuan Tianji's mountain, Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang sent Xian Jizi back to the outer sect. After discovering that Ho Jun might be colluding with Soaring Heaven Sect, they decided not to touch Nalanda for the time being. They didn't want to alert the enemy. After that, Knight Sorrow and Si Kongxiang visited Mei Ruoshue and several other disciples who had entered the sect at the same time. Everyone gathered together and drank. Si Kongxiang didn't reveal that Knight Sorrow was already a divine king seed. Everyone thought that he was just an ordinary outer sect disciple and got along well with him. However, it could be seen that the others were more afraid of Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoshue, two core disciples. After this day, Knight Sorrow returned to the bamboo forest that Yuan Tianji had arranged for him. He stayed with his family for 3 days. He entered the clear heaven pagoda and studied the spirit array inside. He studied the spirit array of Zhenyuan Divine Lord and Long Tianqing, combined with the Divine Essence Dragon Locking Array, and spent 180 years to master it. After that, he tried to integrate the power of virtue into it. This was naturally to deal with the extraterrestrial demon. Let's call it the 33 Heavens Merit Array. After thoroughly studying the spirit array, Knight Sorrow gave it a name and then went to find Lu Qingyuan, wanting him to test the effect of the spirit array. After seeing Lu Qingyuan, Knight Sorrow found that his face was very ugly. So he asked, Elder Lu, what's wrong? Sigh. After you went into seclusion for a year, the elders of Heavenly Martial Pavilion brought their disciples to our Tianyun school. Their heavenly martial pavilion had Yan Jifei, ranked third on the feather god list, who injured all 5 of our sect's chosen feather gods. They were so arrogant. Lu Qingyuan clenched his fists in anger and said, they didn't stop after injuring a few feather gods. They even mocked our Tianyun school's high gods, saying that they were all idiots. They have Meng Du, who is ranked 4th on the high gods list. Our high gods are no match for them and can only hold their anger. Are they still here? Knight Sorrow asked. He wanted to avenge Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue. The other party was a bully, and they even dared to bully their own sect. This was too much. He didn't leave. He said he would leave with us. Lu Qingyuan explained and then tried to persuade him, Knight Sorrow, you are my sect's trump card. Don't be rash, it won't be too late to teach them a lesson after the 7 sect grand competition. Good. Just bear with it for a while longer. When do we leave? How are the arrangements for the vice sect leader? Knight Sorrow asked. The trip to the 7 sects grand competition would not be a smooth one, thus he had to clarify some things. I should have left 3 months ago, but I've been waiting for you. In addition, the vice sect leader had already made all the necessary arrangements. This time, we are mobilizing a Divine King level Grand Elder, 5 half-step Divine Kings, and 20 Divine Monarchs. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yishang. This doesn't include the 10 Divine Lord level Enforcement Elders on the surface. They are all in my spatial artifact. So many experts. Even the Divine King has been mobilized. Knight Sorrow was very surprised to hear that so many experts were mobilized at once. In addition, if there was a Divine King to fight, he was worried that his array formation level was still too low. Just in case. This is one of the trump cards of my Tianyun school, but there are even stronger ones. Lu Qingyuan said proudly. Although the Tianyun school did not have any sovereigns, the Divine King's numbers were not inferior to the other sovereigns. However, these Divine King were usually cultivating in seclusion and did not show up at all. At this moment, Knight Sorrow asked, Elder Lu, are all the people in your spatial artifact reliable? I want to test an array formation. Of course. They are all the mainstays of our side. Some of them have never shown their faces. Lu Qingyuan promised. Okay. Elder Lu, come with me to test the array. Knight Sorrow then invited Lu Qingyuan into the Tristreams of Virtuous array he had set up. What array is this? It's mixed with virtuous power and reincarnation power? It looks ordinary, but it can weaken my strength. Lu Qingyuan tried all kinds of methods to break the array formation, but none succeeded. He also felt that his strength had been greatly weakened. He could not help but praise the array's wonders. To be able to set up such a wondrous array formation at the Divine Wing realm, this Knight Sorrow that you and the vice sect leader recommended is indeed 10 talents. The Divine King Zhuangqing, who was hidden in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, could not help but praise. Although the array formation that Knight Sorrow had set up had no effect on the Divine King, it could affect a half-step Divine King. This was already very impressive. Of course. Knight Sorrow is a peerless genius who has the potential to dominate the world. Elder Zhuang, just wait for him to shine. Lu Qingyuan transmitted his voice to the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in the spatial artifact. There was a hint of pride in his voice. After all, he was the one who had seen through Knight Sorrow's identity when he joined the Tianyun school. Otherwise, Knight Sorrow might still be cultivating in a low-key manner. I will wait and see. The Divine King Zhuangqing smiled amiably. Elder Lu, give me a day. I will say goodbye to my family, and then we will go to the location of the 7 sect tournament together. At this moment, Knight Sorrow spoke. In fact, he was a little embarrassed that he had delayed the trip. Okay, go ahead. Lu Qingyuan did not blame Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow went back to say goodbye to his family and met Yuan Tianji. Then, he and Lu Qingyuan met up with the prodigies participating in the tournament. The members of the Tianyun school participating in the 7-sect tournament had already been selected. The Feather God group included Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, Si Kongxiang, who was ranked 15th, Mei Ruoxue, who was ranked 20th, Yun Tingfei, who was ranked 30th, and Yan Zheng, who was not on the Feather God list but was stronger than Si Kongxiang. Although Yun Tingfei's ranking was not low, he had already been confirmed as Night Sorrow's substitute. The other 4, including Night Sorrow and the Tianyun school, were quite strong. The God group included Mu Qingyu, who was ranked 11th on the Feather God list, Liang He, who was ranked 21st, Yan Fangfei, who was ranked 29th, Zhou Qian, who was ranked 51st, and Nalanda, who was ranked 84th. The God group's ranking did not seem that shameful, but the 5 of them had participated in the last tournament and were ranked last. In addition to these participants, the Tianyun school sent out a total of 10 law enforcement elders to protect them. The law enforcement elder, Lu Qingyuan, was responsible for leading the team. After everyone had gathered, many people paid attention to Night Sorrow. They did not know what identity he had used to sneak in. After everyone boarded the Heavenly Cloud shuttle of the Tianyun school, Nalanda was instructed by Mu Qingyu. He pointed at Night Sorrow and asked Lu Qingyuan, Elder Lu, who is that guy? Why is he going to the 7-sect tournament with us? Oh, he is the nephew of Deputy Suzerain Yuan. He is my substitute for Tianyun school. His main purpose is to come out and see the world. Lu Qingyuan was very unhappy with Nalanda, but he still held back and made up an identity for Night Sorrow. I see, so he is a backdoor entrant. Chapter 2569. Looking at Nalanda's appearance, Yi Shan really wanted to beat him up. However, under Lu Qingyuan's voice transmission, he restrained himself. Hearing that Night Sorrow had gotten in because of his connections, other than Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue, the rest of the contestants looked at him with disdain. Nalanda, in particular, walked over to Yi Shan and mocked him a few times. Is everyone ready? If you are, we will set off for Tianxian school. Lu Qingyuan knew that Night Sorrow would shine on the day of the grand competition, so he didn't care about these trivial matters. We are ready. The 10 Divine Lord Law Enforcement Elders and the 10 geniuses participating in the grand competition immediately responded. Only Yi Shang stood on the Heavenly Cloud shuttle that was gradually rising into the air and looked at the mountain where his family was. Come back, it's time to go. Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Yi Shan. Then, he looked at the crowd and said, this trip will take some time. Everyone can return to their rooms to adjust. People die in every grand competition of the 7 sects, I hope that all of us can come back this time. We will fight with all our strength and defend the glory of Tianyun school. The few people who had participated in the last grand competition immediately roared out. Last time, the Feather God group and the Deity group had both come in last place. They were all angry. Although the Deity group didn't change much this time, the Feather God group had a few new members. This gave some people hope. Ha ha ha. Even if you trash fight with all your strength, you will only be last place. I think you have forgotten the pain from a few days ago. At that moment, a burst of arrogant laughter drifted over from afar. Then, the contestants from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, led by Yan Jifei, who was ranked 3rd on the Feather God list, flew to Tianyun School's Skycloud shuttle. As for the Deity group, they didn't even come. Yan Jifei, you are too arrogant. Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th on the God of Feathers list, shouted angrily. Loser, I'm not here for you. I want to challenge Nalanda, who is ranked 84th on the Divine list. It was said that there was a feather god called Night Sorrow who defeated an expert on the Divine list and became a master on both lists. Today, Yan Jifei, will have a taste of what it's like to be on two lists. Yan Jifei stared at Nalanda with contempt on his face. I still need to prepare for the 7-sex tournament. I won't accept your challenge. In the face of Yan Jifei's challenge, Nalanda immediately cowered. His tone was obviously timid. If you don't accept the challenge, what does that count as? Is this considered admitting defeat and giving me the 84th position on the high god list? Nalanda's cowardice made Yan Jifei's face even more proud. He laughed arrogantly and said, you Tianyun school students. Sure enough, after Mu Baiyu, it completely collapsed. It's all mud that can't be supported. Yan Jifei, pay attention to your words. This is my Tianyun school's place. You, a feather god, can't be presumptuous. Yan Jifei didn't put the people present in his eyes. Lu Qingyuan immediately rebuked him. Elder Lu, am I wrong? Look at your Tianyun school, what kind of trash are you? You're not strong enough, don't tell me you won't let people talk about it. Yan Jifei's face had a provocative smile. He knew that Lu Qingyuan, a monarch god, wouldn't make a move against him. You, presumptuous. Lu Qingyuan's anger had completely exploded, but he still endured. People with strength naturally have the capital to be presumptuous. Elder Lu, you don't want Nalanda to fight, are you afraid that he will be injured and can't participate in the tournament? I will be merciful, so you don't have to stop me. Yan Jifei chattered on. Qingyuan, let night sorrow cripple him. My Tianyun school's face is not something that anyone can slap. My Tianyun school's face in the 7-sec tournament must be fought for. We can't lose our face at this moment. At this moment, the divine king Zhuangqing, who was in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, angrily transmitted his voice. When the old man heard a junior continuously humiliating the Tianyun school, he was so angry that his fingers were trembling. Yes. Zhuangqing. Lu Qingyuan didn't have the courage to let Night Sorrow fight directly because he was afraid of exposing his target. But at this moment, with Zhuangqing's words, he immediately became spirited. He looked at Yan Jifei with disdain and said, I'm afraid that you will be injured and can't participate in the tournament. Your heavenly martial pavilion will fight with me. Ha ha ha. Did I hear wrongly? Hearing this, Yan Jifei laughed arrogantly. Even the leader of the heavenly martial pavilion, Meng Yi, flew to the heavenly cloud shuttle and said with a smile, when cultivators compete, injuries and even death is karma. If Jifei is killed or injured by Nalanda, my heavenly martial pavilion won't care. Let the divine king bully the feather god. My Tianyun school won't do such a shameful thing. In the face of the other party's provocation, Lu Qingyuan raised his eyebrows and said, if you want to compete, then both sides will send out the feather god. Oh. Feather god. Haven't your Tianyun school's feather god been taught a lesson? Meng Yi glanced at the Tianyun school's feather god and asked disdainfully. My Tianyun school's cultivators may not be the most talented in the 7 sects, but in terms of tenacity, they are definitely the best. If you want to compete, we will accompany you. Lu Qingyuan replied firmly and continued, since it's a competition, why don't we add some stakes? Oh. What do you want to use as a stake? Meng Yi asked with a smile. He was sure that he would win, otherwise, he wouldn't be so provocative. If I lose, I will give you the heavenly cloud shuttle. What do you think? This heavenly cloud shuttle is the highest grade in my Tianyun school. It's a king-grade artifact. Lu Qingyuan was also sure that he would win, so he said the stakes of the king-grade artifact. Oh. This king-grade heavenly cloud shuttle is the face of your Tianyun school. Are you willing to bet on it? Meng Yi said with a look of disbelief when he heard Lu Qingyuan's words. He couldn't believe his ears. Since it's a competition, let's make it big. What's the point of a small fight? Lu Qingyuan was ready to let Night Sorrow make a move. His aura had completely exploded. Okay. This elder will accept your wager. Meng Yi smiled and said, if I lose to you, I will give my king-grade artifact Heavenly Marshal's Soul Spear to you, Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Good. Then it's a deal. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He had a card up his sleeve. At this time, Yan Jifei coughed and said, 2 elders, you are betting so big. Even if you give it to me, I don't dare to accept it. I also want to bet something else. Can I? What do you want to bet? My Tianyun school will accept it. Lu Qingyuan said indifferently. I want to bet on her. If I win, she will give me Lu Qingyuan. How about it? Yan Jifei pointed at Mei Ruoxue with an evil smile on his face. Okay. Let's bet. But to be fair, if you lose. Elder Yan Fangling, how about you become my concubine? Lu Qingyuan pointed at a female cultivator in the distance. This female cultivator was an elder of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. She was ranked 3rd in the Heavenly Feather group and 4th in the Deity group. She was a very famous beauty in the 7 sections. Moreover, she was Yan Jifei's aunt. Lu Qingyuan's nephew was so shameless. As his aunt, she did not know how to educate him. She deserved to be implicated. Lu Qingyuan, what did you say? Hearing that Lu Qingyuan wanted to use his aunt as a stake, Yan Jifei immediately became angry. He did not even call him Elder Lu. What? Only your Heavenly Martial Pavilion can have ideas about my Tianyun school's female disciple. Yan Jifei, if you provoke me again, I don't mind killing you. Being called by his full name by a feather god, Lu Qingyuan's temper was not good. Chapter 2570. All right. Auntie, I'll definitely help you vent your anger. Yan Jifei's eyebrows showed a strong desire to fight after he got the approval of his aunt, Yan Fangling. He provoked, which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you fight me? Yan Jifei's aura was so strong that Ho Qingshan, who was ranked 8th in the Tianyun school, immediately transmitted his voice to Lu Qingyuan. He said in surprise, Elder Lu, I'm not Yan Jifei's opponent. Why did you make such a bet? Isn't this the same as giving away an emperor-grade divine artifact? I don't need you. Lu Qingyuan glanced at Ho Qingshan and cursed him inwardly. He comforted Mei Ruoxue, who was transmitting her voice to him. Ruoxue, do you think Elder is a lunatic? Trust me, we'll definitely win. Even if the ruler returns to the Divine Feather Realm, he won't be our match. When Mei Ruoxue heard that she was the wager and that Lu Qingyuan had agreed to the wager, she immediately rejected it. Elder. You're not being controlled by the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, are you? Lu Qingyuan's explanation made Mei Ruoxue feel that he was really crazy. Ruoxue, you can't screw up. We have the Divine Feather Stairway to Heaven result, which is 31,220 steps. This is an unprecedented result. When Mu Baiyu was in the Divine Feather Realm, the highest record was 27,000 steps. Lu Qingyuan continued to transmit his voice. Mei Ruoxue felt that this was a fantasy. She immediately doubted, impossible, it's impossible to be more outstanding than senior brother Baiyu. Mu Baiyu was like a god in her heart, a man who walked out of a legend. She didn't believe that there was someone more outstanding than him. Sigh. I don't think I can persuade you. Wait, I'll let Si Kongxiang talk to you. Seeing that Yan Fangling was about to win, how could Lu Qingyuan let Mei Ruoxue ruin the good thing? He immediately transmitted a message to Si Kongxiang, persuade Ruoxue and get her to agree to the bet. Night Sorrow is certain to win. At that time, his result of climbing the stairway to heaven was 31,220 steps. He's even stronger than Mu Baiyu at the same time. It's impossible for him to lose to Yan Jifei. Good. I will explain it to Ruoshua with my life. Si Kongxiang knew about Night Sorrow. When he heard Lu Qingyuan's words, he immediately felt more confident. He hurriedly tried to persuade Mei Ruoshua, but Mei Ruoshua still refused. What should we do? Are we going to let Yan Fangling fly away just like that? If Mei Ruoshua did not agree, then he could only use the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle as a wager for the Emperor-grade divine artifact, the Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear. How could Lu Qingyuan, who had been lonely for countless years, be willing to accept this? He transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. Mei Ruoshua doesn't agree to be the wager. How can I persuade her? Elder Lu, don't worry. Night Sorrow will definitely help you win the concubine today. Night Sorrow, who was standing at the side, slowly walked to Mei Ruoshua's side. He gave her an image crystal and transmitted a message. This was recorded when I was climbing the stairway to heaven. You can take a look at my result. Humph. Your result is around 10,000 steps. I remember it clearly. Now that Night Sorrow came to persuade her, and he, an outer disciple, seemed to have an invincible aura, Mei Ruoshua was even angrier. She felt that Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang, and Night Moon were all crazy today. Take a look carefully and then consider whether you want to agree or not. Also, although this is a wager that you can't lose, we won't let you be the wager for nothing. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her calmly. Night Moon, what's wrong with you today? Normally, you're not someone who likes to pester endlessly. Night Sorrow spoke with the demeanor of a big shot, as if he was treating himself as an important person in Tianyun school. Coupled with the outer disciple uniform he was wearing, he looked a little funny. This is my identity jade token. Take a look before you speak. Night Sorrow wrapped the jade token with his god essence energy and handed it to Mei Ruoshua for her to take a look before making a decision. What? This is the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token. How did you get it? Mei Ruoshua, who was extremely impatient after being persuaded, was shocked when she saw the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token. Her family had elders in Tianyun school. Naturally, she knew that the Divine King Seed Identity Jade Token couldn't be faked. Now that Night Sorrow, a feather god, was the Divine King Seed, she felt a little dizzy. Of course it was won by talent. Go and take a look at the image crystal. Night Sorrow continued to persuade her. He knew that it was very impolite to use her as a wager. However, the people from Heavenly Martial Pavilion were too arrogant. It wasn't enough that Heavenly Martial Pavilion injured all their feather gods in Tianyun school. They continued to provoke them on the road. This was definitely taking advantage of their dignity and continuously picking on honest people. As a member of Tianyun school, he had to earn back his dignity. At this time, Yan Jifei, who was challenging them, saw that no one from Tianyun school was responding. He immediately provoked them even more arrogantly. Elder Lu, weren't you very arrogant just now? You even wanted to use my aunt as a wager. Why didn't anyone from Tianyun school come out and fight with me? Could it be that Elder Lu really wants to bully the weak? Nephew, take a break first. Let's discuss the countermeasures. It'll be done soon. Before Mei Ruoshua was settled, Lu Qingyuan smiled and replied to Yan Jifei. Lu Qingyuan, I think you're tired of living. Do you really think that I, Yan Fangling, won't dare to attack you in Tianyun school? Hearing Lu Qingyuan call Yan Jifei's nephew, Yan Fangling immediately rebuked him. When she was the number 1 person in Heavenly Martial Pavilion and ranked 3rd in the Feather God group, Lu Qingyuan didn't even enter the top 10. He only ranked 14th. There was a certain gap in talent and strength between them. We'll be a family in the future. There's no need to fight. Lu Qingyuan smiled. Yan Fangling was the goddess of their generation. How could he, who had been lonely for tens of thousands of years, be calm when he finally had the chance to get close to her. Who's your family? You're courting death. Yan Fangling's face was completely lost after being teased. She immediately prepared to attack. At this time, Mei Ruoshua suddenly stepped forward and said, Elder Yan, don't be angry. Since you and Ruoshua are both wagers, let's stand aside and watch the battle. It's Ruoshua's honor to be a wager with you. Knight Zoro's Jade Identity Tablet and the Stairway to Heaven result had already brought her endless shock. At this moment, she wouldn't be afraid even if she had to bet 10,000 times. Even when she opened her mouth to speak, she felt her body tremble. The Stairway to Heaven result of the Divine Feather Realm exceeded 30,000, surpassing the Sect Master and Mu Baiyu. It made her feel like she was in a dream. Oh. It seems that you've already discussed it. In that case, I, Yan Fangling, will wait and see. Let's see what kind of capital Tianyun School has to dare to have any ideas about me. Yan Fangling had just seen the Tianyun School's group doing Mei Ruoshua's work. Chapter 2571. Let's talk about who we'll send out later. At this time, Lu Qingyuan saw that the matter had been decided and immediately said, since the battle has been decided, let's make an oath to the heavens so that no one will go back on their word. Good. Our Heavenly Martial Pavilion is not afraid. The people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had been provoking the Tianyun School. Now that the Tianyun School had agreed to the battle, they were very happy to make an oath to the heavens. I, the disciplinary elder of the Tianyun School, Lu Qingyuan, swear. The core disciple of the Tianyun School, Mei Ruoshua, swear. The Tianyun School was clear about Knight Zoro's strength, so the two of them did not make an oath to the heavens. At this time, Yan Jifei put on a fake smile and said, where are the people who will participate in the battle? Could it be that Ruoshua will fight personally? If you were the one on stage, I might really lose to your pomegranate skirt. Don't call me Ruoshua. I'm not familiar with you. You're so arrogant, just wait for your face to be slapped. Mei Ruoshua was teased by Yan Jifei, and her eyebrows were immediately covered with frost. Okay, I'll wait for my face to be slapped. But where is the person who slaps my face? You Tianyun School delayed for so long, is it just to show off? Don't forget that both sides have already made an oath to the heavens. It's impossible to go back on your word. Yan Jifei, who had completely unleashed his divine domain, sneered and continued to roar. Don't shout, your opponent is me. At this time, Knight Zoro slowly walked in front of Yan Jifei and calmly replied. You. The outer disciple of the Tianyun School. This is the biggest joke in the world. Don't tell me you think you're some peerless master, and you're wearing the outer disciple's uniform to hide your identity. Knight Zoro's aura did not leak out, so Yan Jifei could not feel how strong he was. He immediately hooted. If you think so, I won't open my mouth to deny it. Yan Jifei had danced for so long that even Yishang's heart was filled with anger. He coldly replied, that's right. You really think you're some big shot? Now, let me see just how strong you are. You will soon understand that the third-ranked expert on the God of Feathers list is not to be trifled with. Yan Jifei roared as his god domain burst out completely. He was ranked third on the Feather God list, second only to Wuyo of the Tianqin Gate and Shang Su Yan of the Tianxian Gate. He was indeed very strong. But at this time, Knight Zoro smiled and asked, since the third position can't be challenged, then what about the first and second positions? Scoundrel! You are courting death. Heavenly Martial Demon Fist. Yan Jifei, as the 1,000-year-old third, had always been suppressed by the first two. Being ridiculed like this, he immediately flew into a rage. Up until the moment he made his move, the arrogant him did not even ask for Knight Zoro's name. The people on the Heavenly Cloud shuttle made space for them before Yan Jifei could make a move. In addition, the heavenly cloud shuttle was made of king-grade materials. With the power of the feather god, it would not be damaged at all. Lu Qingyuan did not say anything to stop him. Be careful. This heavenly martial demon fist is one of Yan Jifei's killing moves. It is very powerful. It's obvious that he's really angry. Ho Qingshan, who had fought with Yan Jifei before, was very surprised that there was an outer disciple in the Tianjing sect. But because they were from the same sect, he still reminded him. A few days ago, he had been seriously injured by this move. Even now, he still had lingering fears. No matter. You are just a chicken and a dog. Hearing Ho Qingshan's reminder, Knight Sorrow responded and released his powerful god domain. Facing Yan Jifei's powerful move, he chose to use his fist to respond. He did not use any of his moves at all. Your god domain is very strong. No wonder you have the confidence to fight with me. But if you don't use your moves, you are definitely courting death. Seeing that Knight Sorrow did not even use his moves, Yan Jifei sneered in his heart. But soon, Yan Jifei's smile completely froze. Because after the two exchanged moves, he was directly thrown out of the heavenly cloud shuttle. What? How is this possible? When did the realm of the gods have such a powerful feather god? Yan Jifei, who had been brimming with confidence, was sent flying thousands of miles away. Yan Jifei was stunned. Jifei, don't be distracted. We can't afford to lose this bet. Yan Jifei was a little absent-minded. His aunt, Yan Fangling, immediately reminded him. Si Kongxiang, who had been suppressing himself, shouted, Good. Good fight. What's going on? When did our Tianyun school have such a fierce character? The other disciples of the Tianyun clan were all dumbfounded. The strength that Yi Shang had displayed had already exceeded their understanding. Against Yan Jifei, who was ranked third on the feather god list, he could easily send him flying. This was something they did not even dare to dream of. He is indeed very strong. Mei Ruoxue, who had been persuaded by all kinds of people to agree to the bet, had a complicated look in her eyes. Everyone present, including her, was undoubtedly a heaven's pride. But at this moment, the halo around them was undoubtedly shattered by Knight Sorrow's punch. Can't believe the fact in front of you, or can't believe that someone from the Tianyun school can suppress you. Facing the obviously absent-minded Yan Jifei, Knight Sorrow said coldly, when you humiliate others, you should be prepared to be humiliated. Use all your trump cards, or you won't have a chance. I will kill you. Being sent flying in front of everyone, Yan Jifei's face was burning. He felt that all the words he had said before the bet were all slaps to his own face. As he roared, he took out his divine weapon, the Starlight Sword, and used the Sword Realm to suppress Knight Sorrow. Then, he merged with the sword and shot forward. This was his strongest move, and he would suffer a strong backlash if he used it. He had prepared it for Wuyo and Shang Su Yen. He did not expect that he would be forced to use it before the Seven Sects tournament. This attack is very strong, but it's not enough for me to use my divine weapon. Facing Yan Jifei's strongest attack, Knight Sorrow used the 33 Heavens battle secret technique, increasing his strength tenfold. Facing Yan Jifei, he threw out another punch. He still did not use his secret technique. This time, the people from the Tianyun school did not say anything. They knew that Knight Sorrow must be aware of it. As for Yan Jifei, he did not underestimate him. Boom! In an instant, the two collided. The void above the heavenly cloud shuttle was shattered by the collision of the two. Not long after, Yan Jifei's figure appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, his Taoist robe was torn, and his body was covered with injuries. He looked very miserable as he flew in the void. What happened? Where is Knight Sorrow? Seeing that it was Yan Jifei who appeared in front of everyone, Lu Qingyuan asked with a face full of astonishment. In his opinion, Night Sorrow's strength was much higher than Yan Jifei's. It was impossible for him to lose. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow. He is not my opponent, so he naturally died in the void. Yan Jifei's whole body was injured, but his face was filled with madness as he roared arrogantly. Yan Jifei, you used the invincible monarch god talisman to plot against me. This time, you are courting death. Chapter 2572. When the two of them were fighting, Yan Jifei had used the momentum of their attacks to activate the invincible Divine Lord level talisman. If Yi Shang hadn't used the Divine Origin Dragon-locking formation to seal the Divine Talisman, greatly reducing its power, as well as the power of Virtue and the Azure Phoenix armor, he might have been killed by this attack. After all, an invincible Divine Lord level talisman was too terrifying for a feather god. What? That didn't kill you? Yan Jifei was shocked to see Night Sorrow appear. If it had been any other feather god, they would have been instantly killed by the invincible Divine Lord level talisman if they had not been prepared. He had never thought that Yi Shang would survive. I won't die. You're the one who should die. At this moment, Night Sorrow's battle intent rose. He took out the Samsara halberd and used the Samsara strike. He had only wanted to defeat Yan Jifei, but now he wanted to kill him. Stop. We admit defeat. Night Sorrow's Samsara strike was so powerful that even an ordinary Divine Lord would find it hard to block it. Yan Jifei's aunt, Yan Fangling, immediately shouted. Bastard! You still dare to attack after admitting defeat. Do you think the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has no one? Die, you brat! After Yan Fangling shouted, Night Sorrow didn't stop. Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, immediately attacked Night Sorrow. Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. Night Sorrow immediately used the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array to slow down the power of the half-step Divine King's attack. However, Meng Yi's attack was so powerful that he didn't slow it down much. Meng Yi, you're courting death. The Heavenly Martial Pavilion is so shameless. Seeing Meng Yi bullying the weak, Lu Qingyuan took out the Monarch-class divine artifact Flowing Cloud Ruler that God King Zhuangqing had lent him and slammed it out ruthlessly. A half-step godly king was actually involved in a gambling match between two feather gods. This was a shameless act. Boom! Meng Yi's strike was immediately sent flying by Lu Qingyuan's monarch-ranked divine artifact, Flowing Cloud Ruler. At the same time, Night Sorrow unleashed his Samsara strike. However, this attack did not hit Yan Jifei's body. At the critical moment, although Yan Fangling did not attack Night Sorrow, she used her body to block Samsara's attack. She did not use divine origin energy, relying on her body to receive the attack. Her injuries were extremely severe. How dare you hurt my aunt? I'll kill you. Seeing his aunt being blown away in front of his eyes, Yan Jifei's tears fell. However, even though he was shouting and yelling, he didn't make a move because he couldn't think of a way to defeat Night Sorrow. Nephew, rather than being humiliated, I would rather die like this. In the future, you must cultivate well and surpass everyone in the Yan family. Yan Fangling was obviously courting death. She didn't want to be Lu Qingyuan's concubine. Don't think that your actions are tragic. If it weren't for your shamelessness, my Tianyun school wouldn't have fought back like this. Seeing Yan Fangling's reaction, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "You won't die from this injury. I have a lot of healing pills here. Don't even think about killing yourself. Don't forget that you swore a heavenly oath in the name of your sect and family." However, he didn't continue to attack Yan Jifei. He wanted to see what the others had to say. Elder Yan. Seeing that Yan Fangling was injured, Meng Yi, who was fighting with Lu Qingyuan, suddenly had a gloomy look on his face. He wanted to go back on his oath to the heavens and fight with the Tianyun clan. Elder Mang Yi. Don't be impulsive. A heavenly oath is not a child's play. Noticing Mang Yi's expression, the seriously injured Yan Fangling immediately tried to persuade him. But how can this elder watch as you are humiliated? Yan Jifei had obviously lost, and he had lost disgracefully. He had only survived because Yan Fangling had saved him. Mang Yi felt very aggrieved. If things continued like this, Yan Fangling and his heavenly martial soul spear would lose to the Tianyun school. That would be the greatest humiliation in the history of the heavenly martial pavilion. So when the heavenly martial pavilion bullies others, you're all arrogant. When you're defeated, it's like you've been wronged. Let me ask you, my Tianyun school's divine feather realm disciple defeated Yan Jifei with his own strength. What do you feel wronged about? Lu Qingyuan sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, indicating that he shouldn't attack for the time being. Then he shouted loudly. That's right, the heavenly martial pavilion is too shameless. When you bully others, why don't you look so tragic? Si Kongxiang shouted unhappily. No matter what, the heavenly martial pavilion was not in the right at all. In the end, they looked tragic. It was Yan Jifei who first proposed to use a woman as a wager. Now that you've lost, do you want to die and not admit it? Is this how the Yan family teaches you? I think you're not far from death. Mei Ruoshue, who had been called out as a wager, scolded happily. When she was called out by Yan Jifei, she felt so humiliated that she even wanted to cry. After being scolded by the Tianyun school, the people of the heavenly martial pavilion became silent. They used to have some small grudges with the Tianyun school. Now, when the Tianyun school was sinking, they came to slap him in the face. Now, they suffered a double loss. Although they felt wronged, they couldn't refute. What should we do? Aunt, what should we do? Yan Jifei, who was supporting Yan Fangling, had tears in his eyes. This time, he had lost the battle and lost his aunt. He couldn't accept this result at all. He was in a daze and didn't dare to face reality. Jifei, don't cry. Men don't cry easily. Cultivate well in the future. We've lost, and we're bound by the heavenly oath. We can only accept our loss. Yan Jifei had lost, and Yan Fangling had to become Lu Qingyuan's concubine. As a former prodigy, it was easy to imagine how depressed she felt. However, her boldness was obviously much stronger than Yan Jifei's. Biting her lips, she walked towards the Tianyun clan. Aunt! Looking at his aunt, Yan Fangling, walking away, Yan Jifei couldn't help but cry. What are you crying for? When you called out my name, you weren't like this. Now, do you understand how humiliating this is? Seeing Yan Jifei crying, Mei Ruoshue's face was full of disdain as she mocked him. This is the Sky Marshal's soul battle spear. Lu Qingyuan, keep it safe. I'll take it back one day. Yan Fangling chose to accept her loss. Although Mang Yi was very reluctant, he still handed over the Sky Marshal's soul battle spear. Night Sorrow, the Sky Marshal's soul battle spear is your spoils of war. Go and take it. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face revealed a smile. He took out a pill and handed it to Yan Fangling. Take it. It's good for your injuries. Humph. Lu Qingyuan, don't think that just because I lost to you, you can do whatever you want. Yan Fangling's face was very gloomy. She didn't take the pill. Good. Then you take your time to recuperate. We'll slowly get used to our future relationship. Lu Qingyuan laughed. What are you laughing at? She's just a woman and a spoil of war. Why are you weaker than her? Take her down and immediately consummate. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death. Chapter 2573. Grand Elder Zhuang, is this okay? I'm afraid of further intensifying the conflict between the two sects. After all, Soaring Heaven's sect is still eyeing us. Hearing the Divine King Zhuang's message, Lu Qingyuan replied with some apprehension. His considerations were reasonable. Waste. My Tianyun school has too many wishy-washy wastes like you. That's why we're in such a weak position today. The Divine King Zhuang scolded in his space artifact and continued, My Tianyun school has been continuously targeted because every time we've been provoked, we haven't given enough response. This time, you must let Heavenly Martial Pavilion know how to write the word pain. Go, bring Yan Fangling into the inner cabin. Don't come out until you're read. This. Okay. Hearing these words, Lu Qingyuan was a little embarrassed, but he still nodded and prepared to bring Yan Fangling in. The Divine King Zhuang heard that Lu Qingyuan's tone was not tough enough and scolded unhappily. This time, Night Sorrow has already stabilized the situation, but you're still wishy-washy. If you continue to be like this in the future, you don't need to be a disciplinary elder anymore. Remember, a disciplinary elder must be ruthless. You must not show mercy to anyone. Especially when the sect is provoked, even if you have to risk your life, you must return the favor. Yes. Grand Elder Zhuang. Qingyuan will remember your teachings. After being scolded, Lu Qingyuan's body suddenly trembled. He was the most easygoing disciplinary elder in the history of Tianyun School. Usually, he didn't have much time to be uptight. Now that he was scolded, he felt like he had been hit in the head. His face darkened and he looked at Yan Fangling. Yan Fangling. If we lose the bet this time, you should know what awaits Mei Ruoxue. Now that you've lost, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Although bullying a woman like you isn't my, Lu Qingyuan's, style. But from the standpoint of the sect, your Heavenly Martial Pavilion has gone too far in bullying my Tianyun school. Come with me. Lu Qingyuan, if you're still a man, let me go. Standing on the deck of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, Yan Fangling's face was extremely ugly, and her body was slightly trembling. Now, she was very regretful that she had supported Yan Jifei in this gambling fight. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. She had no way to turn back. I will let you go. However, there are some things that must be done. Hearing Yan Fangling's words, Lu Qingyuan coldly snorted and reached out to grab Yan Fangling's arm. Pulling her into his embrace, he walked into the inner cabin of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. Although Yan Fangling used to be very strong, she had taken Night Sorrow's Samsara strike head-on. She was seriously injured and had no strength to resist. And Yan Jifei, who had already returned to the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, shouted when he saw Yan Fangling being carried away. He was about to explode. If you hadn't lost, she wouldn't have to suffer such consequences. Yan Jifei, this is the cause you planted. He would personally take revenge in the future. Do you remember? The face of Mang Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, was uglier than anyone else. He coldly scolded Yan Jifei. Jifei, remember this. From now on, you must cultivate well and fiercely slap Tianyun School's face. Fight for today's anger. Yan Jifei's body was still trembling. He was not reconciled, extremely not reconciled. He had lost the bet to his aunt. This would be the shadow of his life. I think it's time for you to hand over the Heavenly Marshal's Soul Battle Spear. After Lu Qingyuan carried Yan Fangling into the inner cabin, Night Sorrow immediately stood at the bow of the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle and asked for the Heavenly Marshal's Soul Battle Spear. This was the bet that they had won. There was no reason for them to not take it. I can give you the Heavenly Marshal's Soul Battle Spear. However, do you dare to make another bet with me? After being asked for the Heavenly Marshal's Soul Battle Spear, Meng Yi handed it over to Meng Du, who was ranked 4th on the divine list. Mengdu, who was holding the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear, stood on the flying divine tool of the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion and looked at Night Sorrow provocatively. Hee, you are ranked 4th on the divine list. Do you think you are very domineering to challenge a feather god? In the face of Mengdu's provocation, Night Sorrow replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Just tell me if you dare or not. Don't tell me you don't need it. Tell me if you have the guts or not. Mengdu held the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear in his hand and released a terrifying battle intent. He was ranked 4th on the divine list. Currently, his strength was indeed slightly stronger than Night Sorrow's. That's right. If you don't have the guts, you can reject it. Or you can ask the other great gods to come out and fight. The other disciples of the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion who were standing behind Mengdu also joined in the commotion. Ever since I started cultivating, no one has dared to say that I, Night Sorrow, have no guts. Mengdu, right? Hand over my Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear and I will give you an explanation. Night Sorrow, who was standing on the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle, also released a strong battle intent. Night Sorrow. So he is Night Sorrow, who is ranked on the divine list. No wonder he is so strong. When the disciples of the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion heard Night Sorrow's name, they immediately started discussing among themselves. Before this, Lu Qingyuan had called out Night Sorrow's name softly, but they did not pay attention to it. As for Night Sorrow, he had come here to fight for the reputation of the Tianyun school. In the face of the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion's provocation, if he did not step out, the reputation of the Tianyun school would be completely lost before the competition. Then, his trip would be completely meaningless. Night Sorrow. You are Night Sorrow. I will give you the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear. I, Mengdu, want to see how you will respond. Mengdu gathered his divine origin energy and threw the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear at Night Sorrow. This was obviously a provocation. Everyone in the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion had heard of Night Sorrow's name and knew that he was the only feather god who was ranked on the divine list. After the feather god group's competition, I will continue to participate in the high gods group. At that time, we will definitely fight. Facing the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear that Mengdu threw, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to see the path of the spear and the divine origin energy dragon lock array to slow it down. Finally, he used his divine origin energy and the strength of his body to catch the spear. From the beginning to the end, his body was as steady as a rock and did not sway in the slightest. Ha ha ha. You are really arrogant. You are still a feather god and you dare to say that you will participate in the high gods group's competition. Alright, I will wait for you in the high gods group. You better pray that I don't meet you in the competition. Otherwise, your divine soul will be destroyed. Take good care of the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear. I will personally take it back. When he heard that Night Sorrow wanted to participate in the high gods group's competition, Mengdu laughed arrogantly. To him, no matter how strong a feather god was, they would not be a threat to him. Let's just wait and see. However, since you want to kill me, if the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion does not withdraw from the Feather God Group's competition, I will kill all of you. Threatening me? You are threatening the wrong person. Night Sorrow, who had caught the Heavenly Marshal's soul battle spear, replied domineeringly. Night Sorrow was the virtuous feather god, but he was not a hypocrite. When someone provoked him, he would not hesitate to retaliate. What? What should we do? The feather gods of the Heavenly Marshal Pavilion immediately panicked when they heard Yi Shang's threat to start a massacre during the competition. Mengdu, who had threatened Night Sorrow, had an ugly expression on his face. Although he was strong, he was a high god and did not have the qualifications to participate in the Feather God Group's competition. What are you panicking for? I have my ways. Meng Yi berated when he saw that the heavenly martial pavilion's feather gods were frightened by Night Sorrow's aura. Chapter 2574. Ha! Senior brother Night Sorrow is so powerful. One sentence from him is enough to make the Sky Martial Pavilion's feather god restless. Ho Qing-shan, who was ranked 8th on the feather god list, shouted when he saw that Night Sorrow's words had shocked the Sky Martial Pavilion. As the strongest person in the Tianyun school's feather god list, he had suffered too much humiliation. Now that Night Sorrow had appeared, he felt as though the clouds had parted and the moon had seen the light. I didn't know you were so strong. Looks like I was lucky to win that day. Yan Zheng looked a little embarrassed. He remembered that Night Sorrow had been on Sikong Hanshin's side that day, but he hadn't humiliated Sikong Hanshin. Now that the Sky Martial Pavilion had provoked him, Sikong Hanshin had stood up for him. It seems that we've made the right choice to join the Tianyun clan at this point in time. I think that the future Tianyun school won't be as cowardly as before. Mei Ruoshua smiled as she looked at Yi Shang's back from a short distance away. Yun Tingfei, who was ranked 30th on the feather god list, said, "This is indeed the best time for the Tianyun school. I'm ranked 30th on the feather god list, but I can't even make it into the sex lineup. I hope that everyone can help me wash away the humiliation from the last competition. With Night Sorrow leading the team, we will definitely be the best in the feather god group." Si Kongxiang said as he patted Yun Tingfei's shoulder. The feather gods were in a good mood. Their previous nervousness had been swept away. The high celestial disciples of the Tianyun school were also in a good mood. In their opinion, it was almost certain that the Tianyun clan would win the championship of the God of Feathers division this time. This way, no matter how the high celestial group performed, they wouldn't be as humiliated as before. Furthermore, Night Sorrow had said that he would continue to participate in the high celestial group after the feather god group. This way, the strength of the Tianyun school's high celestial group would definitely increase and they would be able to get rid of the embarrassment of being last place. Feather God Realm Ant, you don't deserve my Tianwu Soul Battle Spear. Just as everyone was talking and laughing, the weapon spirit of the Tianwu Battle Soul Spear suddenly tried to break free from Night Sorrow's hands. The Heavenly Martial Battle Soul Spear was, after all, a king-grade divine artifact. Its power was extremely terrifying. Very quickly, Night Sorrow felt that it was about to slip out of his hands. Ha! So what if I give you a king-grade divine artifact? You don't even have the ability to control them. Meng Du, who was standing in the distance, immediately mocked when he saw the Heavenly Martial Soul Spear breaking free from Night Sorrow's grasp. Among the people of the Sky Martial Pavilion, he was one of the few who was not afraid of Night Sorrow. As for the others, he did not care at all. Your face really doesn't hurt enough. In the face of Meng Du's provocation, Night Sorrow replied coldly. He turned to the Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear and said, "A mere weapon spirit dares to speak such arrogant words. Do you really think that I, Night Sorrow, would be interested in your Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear? In my eyes, you are just a pile of materials." After speaking, he directly merged the Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear into the Samsara Halberd. You want to destroy me? Impossible. This is impossible. You want to use a high god-grade divine artifact to devour my king-grade divine artifact? Dream on. After being merged into the Samsara Halberd, the weapon spirit of the Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear immediately roared. Nothing in this world is impossible. Although you are a king-grade divine artifact, you are just a pile of materials now. How much can you do? Night Sorrow controlled the Samsara Halberd to resist the arrogance of the Heavenly Martial Soul War Spear and gradually suppressed it. The Samsara Halberd was the same as Night Sorrow. Its grade was not very high, but its strength was definitely not at the high god grade. After all, it mainly had the Samsara attribute and had merged with a Lord Grey Divine Spear and the Inferno Demon Spear. No! Don't destroy my will. I am willing to serve you. After being suppressed by the combination of the Samsara attribute and Night Sorrow, the weapon spirit of the Heavenly Marshal's Soul War Spear quickly begged for mercy. You asked for it. There is no turning back. Faced with the Heavenly Marshal's Soul War Spear's begging, Night Sorrow did not stop. He continued to merge with the weapon. Tribulation clouds. Tribulation clouds are coming. After the Samsara halberd had completely devoured the Heavenly Marshal's Soul War Spear and upgraded to the Lord grade, thick black clouds immediately floated in the sky. Seeing the tribulation clouds, Si Kongxiang cried out worriedly. He was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Lord grade lightning tribulation. Let's see how a feather god like you can survive it. Seeing that Night Sorrow had merged with the Heavenly Marshal's Soul War Spear, Meng Yi of the Sky Marshal Pavilion was so angry that he almost fainted. Now that the Samsara halberd had upgraded to a Lord grade divine artifact and attracted the tribulation clouds, he immediately cursed. Elders, please protect Night Sorrow from the divine artifact tribulation. Don't let him be disturbed by others. Seeing the tribulation clouds coming, Mei Ruoxue immediately begged the 10 deacon elders to protect Night Sorrow. Xiao Shui. You don't have to remind me. The half-step divine king blocked the deacon elder, Mei Ling. He snorted and started to protect Night Sorrow with the other 9 deacon elders. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. He is just a feather god. There is no way he can survive the tribulation lightning of a Lord grade divine artifact. Why should the Sky Marshal Pavilion do anything? Meng Yi of the Sky Marshal Pavilion said disdainfully when he saw the deacon elders of the Tianyun school acting as if they were facing a great enemy. In his opinion, no matter how strong a feather god was, it was impossible for him to survive the Lord grade divine artifact tribulation. Boom! At that moment, the terrifying tribulation lightning struck down. The tribulation lightning was so terrifying that some of the deacon elders felt their hearts tremble. However, in the face of the tribulation lightning, Night Sorrow chose to take it head-on with his body. His choice made the people of the Tianyun school feel conflicted. They were afraid that he would be struck to death. Everyone from the Sky Marshal Pavilion had gloating expressions on their faces. They felt that Yi Shang was simply courting death. What a long-awaited feeling. After taking the tribulation lightning head-on with his body, Night Sorrow felt extremely calm. He was not disturbed at all. Taking the tribulation lightning head-on was a way for him to train his body. It doesn't seem to have any effect. It seems that my body has already reached the peak of the feather god grade. There is no need to train it anymore. In that case, let's hurry up and help the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation. In the face of this tribulation lightning, Night Sorrow quickly realized that his body's strength did not change at all even after being baptized by the tribulation lightning. Then, he started to help the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning with ease. Soon, he succeeded in overcoming the 10th tribulation lightning. After overcoming the tribulation lightning, the Samsara halberd let out a loud and clear cry. Although it was a divine weapon, its strength was comparable to some king-grade artifacts. Elder Mang Yi, we can't let Night Sorrow live. With him around, the Tianyun school might be able to suppress the Sky Marshal Pavilion in the future. This suppression might last for many reincarnations. Seeing that Night Sorrow had successfully helped the Samsara halberd overcome the tribulation lightning and become a divine weapon, one of the elders of the Sky Marshal Pavilion sent a voice transmission to Mang Yi. If we let him grow, he will definitely be a nightmare for the Sky Marshal Pavilion. I am already thinking of a countermeasure. Meng Yi's expression was uglier than anyone else's. However, what made Mang Yi and the others even more devastated was that Lu Qingyuan walked out of the inner cabin with a proud smile on his face. Elder Lu, aren't you a little too fast? Si Kongxiang joked when he saw Lu Qingyuan walk out of the inner cabin. What do you know? I have already been in the accelerated space for a month. How can an ignorant brat like you understand how it feels? Chapter 2575. Damn it. Tianyun School, my heavenly martial pavilion will be your archenemy from now on. Meng Yi, who was originally interested in Yan Fangling, understood that Lu Qingyuan had already cooked the rice. He flew into a rage and retreated with his team. This time, the heavenly martial pavilion had really suffered a double loss. They had lost miserably. The moment your heavenly martial pavilion came to my Tianyun School, we were already archenemies. This time, facing Meng Yi, Lu Qingyuan was much tougher than before and immediately retorted. Good. The Tianyun clan should be tough when dealing with things, just like how you dealt with that girl. The divine King Zhuangqing praised with a smile in his space artifact. Elder Zhuang, I shielded my space artifact at that time. You didn't see anything, did you? Hearing Zhuangqing's ridicule, Lu Qingyuan asked doubtfully. At that time, he definitely shielded his space artifact and felt that it was impossible for anyone to spy on his privacy. Let's not talk about this. On the way to Tianqing Gate, everyone must be on guard. Watching the people of Heavenly Martial Pavilion leave, the divine King Zhuangqing reminded them. They mainly needed to be on guard against Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people. Yes. Qingyuan will definitely be on guard. At this time, Lu Qingyuan's face returned to normal and he began to control the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle at full speed. What surprised everyone was that when they arrived at Tianqing Gate, where the 7th Sect Great Competition was held, Soaring Heaven Sect and Ho Jun's people did not appear. Could it be that we are overthinking? They didn't join forces to target us. When they arrived at Tianqing Gate, Lu Qingyuan sent a message to the divine King Zhuangqing. Not necessarily, I think it is more likely that they will act after the 7th Sect Great Competition. Because if they act before the Great Competition, it will affect the normal progress of the Great Competition. That will involve a lot of people. The divine King Zhuangqing reminded in his space artifact, although we have arrived at Tianqing Gate, there is still some time before the Great Competition. After staying here, all the disciples of Tianyun School are not allowed to go out to avoid being targeted by some people. Yes, Elder Zhuang. Lu Qingyuan responded and lowered the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle. He let everyone disembark and walked down the stairs to walk on the steps to walk to the front. Tianqing Gate's gate. Please inform them that the Tianyun clan is here to participate in the 7-clan grand tournament. Lu Qingyuan took out his identity jade token and walked towards the 2 disciples guarding the mountain gate of the Heavenly Clarity sect. Elder, please wait a moment. One of the disciples at the Divine Feather Realm took the jade token and confirmed it before using a voice transmission stone to report the matter. Not long after, Lin Yu, the elder in charge of receiving guests from the Clear Sky Gate, came out to receive them. He was very polite along the way. However, although Elder Zhuangqing was polite on the way, he was not kind when it came to arranging accommodations. He only arranged a courtyard for Tianyun School. This was only equivalent to the treatment of an outer sect disciple. It did not meet the standards of the 7th Sect Great Competition at all. It was definitely a slap in the face. Lin Yu, what is the meaning of this? Standing in front of the courtyard, Lu Qingyuan immediately flew into a rage. What do I mean? What I mean is that you, Tianyun School, are here to be bystanders anyway. It doesn't matter where you stay. If you are not satisfied, you can choose to withdraw from the great competition. You are in last place in the Zhuangqing group and the deity group anyway. Withdrawing has no effect on the great competition. Lin Yu looked at the furious Lu Qingyuan with an indifferent expression. Good. Very good. Lin Yu, remember what you said today. I, Tianyun School will definitely slap your dog face until it is swollen during the great competition. Lu Qingyuan, who was provoked, had a vicious look on his face. He was too angry. The 7-sect great competition was held in rotation. It was held in a different sect each time. However, no matter where it was held, the host would always arrange a separate mountain peak for the other sections. Tianqing Gate actually arranged an outer sect disciples' courtyard for Tianyun School. This deliberate targeting was a little too much. You want to slap Tianqing Gate's face? You'd better think about how to let your disciples survive in the hands of Wu Yu. Tianqing Gate will never forget the grudge of Mu Baiyu killing Lin Tianxi back then. Tianqing Gate's elder Lin Yu left a harsh sentence and left with a flick of his sleeves. As for whether Tianyun School lived in an outer sect disciples' courtyard or not, he did not care at all. Come, let's move in. Lu Qingyuan did not give the order, but Night Sorrow spoke up. Are we really going to live in such a simple and crude courtyard? Aren't we just waiting to be laughed at by the other sects? As soon as Yi Shang spoke, Lu Qingyuan immediately responded with a question. It doesn't matter where we live. As long as we can slap their faces like senior brother Mu Baiyu when the great competition comes. Night Sorrow explained and continued, the Feather God Group's competition and the High God Group's competition mainly rely on the strongest combat power. However, teamwork is equally important. Let's take advantage of the fact that the great competition hasn't started yet and practice a team battle technique. A team battle technique? That's an array formation. Si Kongxiang asked in surprise. It's not an array formation, but it has a similar effect. If the participants of the great competition can practice a team battle technique well, their combat power will definitely increase by a lot. Night Sorrow said and set up an isolation array formation outside the courtyard. He taught the 9-domain world's team battle technique to the Tianyun School team. In the following time, the Tianyun School team began to seriously practice the team battle technique according to Night Sorrow's guidance. The few people in the Feather God group were all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. They were very talented and had a strong comprehension ability. It took them about a month to completely master the 3-person, 4-person, and 5-person battle techniques. As for the few people in the High God group, their talent was slightly worse, especially Nalanda, who was relatively stupid. He only mastered the 3-person and 4-person battle techniques. However, after Night Sorrow joined the High God group, everyone quickly became proficient in the 5-person battle technique. After completely mastering the team battle technique, Mei Ruoshua said with a smile, I think our Feather God group is very likely to create a record in the great competition of the 7 sects. Night Sorrow will definitely lead us to great results. I think so too. With this group battle method, we'll definitely be successful in every endeavor. Ho Qingshan expressed his deep agreement to this. This time, he was much more confident than he was in the previous great competition. However, what surprised everyone was that before the great competition of the 7 sects, Lu Qingyuan had brought news that the great competition of the 7 sects had been confirmed as a single elimination tournament. The High God group's competition would be the same as before. Why did the rules suddenly change in this great competition? Could it be that the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion leaked Night Sorrow's strength? Are the other sects afraid that our Tianyun School will take the top 5 because of Night Sorrow? After hearing this news, Si Kongxiang was a little unhappy. He could have relied on Night Sorrow to achieve good results, but now he could only rely on himself. No matter what, our Tianyun School must show off in this great competition of the 7 sects. You are all ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. There is no reason why you can't achieve good results. Seeing that the Tianyun School's Feather God group was a little depressed, Lu Qingyuan encouraged them. Chapter 2576. That's right. There are a total of 35 participants. We are all ranked in the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, so we should have a high chance of entering the top 16. Everyone, relax. Ho Qing-shan, who had participated in the 7-sect tournament, encouraged them. Last time, he had successfully advanced to the top 16. However, he had lost to Wu You in the round of 16. This time, Night Sorrow, Yan Zheng, Si Kongxiang, and Mei Ruoxue had appeared. He felt that the burden on his shoulders had lightened a lot. I'm a little worried that Tianqing Gate, as the host, will do something bad to us in the tournament. Si Kongxiang said unhappily. He was still brooding over the matter of his accommodation. They dared to target our Tianyun school without restraint mainly because our sect master is missing and our results have been poor for many years. If you don't want to be looked down upon, it will depend on your performance. Rules are dead, but people are alive. No matter how we are targeted, we will face it with our strength. Lu Qingyuan said as he looked at Night Sorrow, who was walking in from outside. Night Sorrow, what do you think about the change in the rules? Since we are here, let's take it as it comes. No matter how they target us, we will use our fists to break the rules. They won't stop us from participating, right? Haha. Night Sorrow said with a smile as he walked over slowly. He had just finished studying the secret treasure that could confine space, the red golden dragon rune. He had snatched the red golden dragon rune from Wen Jingfang when he left the Zhenyuan Divine Lord's cave and was ambushed by the Dark Moon Dominator's mansion. Even with his strength, he couldn't dodge the red golden dragon rune in a large area when he was confined by it. The effect was similar to the Divine Origin Dragon Lock Array, but the area it covered was much larger. It should be effective against the Feather God and the High Deity. Yi Shang is right. At the end of the day, it all depends on strength. Tomorrow is the tournament. Everyone, have a good rest today. Lu Qingyuan didn't say too much about the grand competition and hurried back to his room to rest. Seeing him leave in a hurry, Si Kongxiang smiled and teased, I discovered that the Heavenly Martial Pavilion has set up a honey trap for us. Look, Elder Lu doesn't have the mood to care about the large competition at all. You're so nosy. Mei Ruoxue immediately glared at Si Kongxiang when she saw that his words were not serious. After that, everyone chatted and laughed for a while before returning to their rooms to rest. Night Sorrow returned to his room and lay down on the bed to rest. Ho Qing-shan knocked on his door. Senior brother Ho, what's the matter? Night Sorrow opened the door and looked at Ho Qing-shan. Ho Qing-shan had entered the sect much earlier than him, so Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to call him senior brother. Brother Yi, this is what happened. According to tradition, the geniuses of the Feather God group will hold a tea party on the eve of every large competition to discuss the heroes. This time, like the last one, I received an invitation. Ho Qing-shan naturally didn't have the nerve to call him junior brother. He asked in an inquiring tone, I would like to invite Brother Yi to go with me. What do you think? Ho Qing-shan had been severely humiliated at the last tea party. If Night Sorrow didn't go, he wouldn't go either. Tea party. I don't mind. If senior brother Ho needs me, I'm willing to go with you. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. He felt that it was a good thing to meet a top expert of the Feather God realm before the large competition. As for whether it was a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, he didn't really care. Okay. I'm relieved that Brother Yi has agreed. Sigh, I won't hide it from you. During the last large competition, I was bullied by Wu Yu from Tianqing Gate. This time, he's the host. I feel that he has to find an opportunity to humiliate my Tianyun school. Ho Qing-shan was naturally happy that Night Sorrow had agreed. However, he also told the truth. They might be going to a feast at Hongmen. It's fine. If you're happy, we can stay a little longer. If you're not happy, you can leave at any time. Night Sorrow didn't care about this at all. Knight Sorrow could tell from Tianqing Gate's attitude towards Tianyun School that the so-called tea party to discuss the heroes wouldn't stop. Brother Yi is right. The tea party is about to start. Why don't we go now? Ho Qingshan said politely. Okay, let's go. Knight Sorrow nodded and walked out of the courtyard with Ho Qingshan. As soon as they walked out of the courtyard, they saw a Tianqing Gate disciple in the upper celestial realm waiting outside. The two of them followed the Tianqing Gate disciple and rushed to the location of the tea party. The tea party was held in a pavilion in the middle of a lake on Tianqing Gate's Wuyo Peak. By the time Knight Sorrow and Ho Qingshan arrived, most of the genius disciples of the 7 sects had already arrived. The two of them handed over their invitations and walked in. They saw more than 10 top geniuses of the Feather God realm had already taken their seats. At this moment, Wuyo was sitting at the head of the table. On his lower left was Heavenly Immortal Sect's Shang Su Yan, and on his lower right was Heavenly Martial Pavilion's Yan Jifei. Next were Heavenly Star Pavilion's Ao Qingsong, Soaring Heaven Sect's Wen Tianhe, and Tianyuan School's Xianyuan Changye. They were the top 6 geniuses of the Feather God list. Behind them was another genius of the Tianqing Gate, Dongfangli, who was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. The seat opposite him was empty. It was obviously reserved for Ho Qingshan. On Dongfang Li's right was an acquaintance of Knight Sorrow, Tianyuan School's Yao Shi. When she saw Knight Sorrow walk into the pavilion, a hint of joy appeared on her face. However, she didn't immediately speak because of the occasion. The seat next to Ho Qingshan was empty. It was unknown who it was reserved for. Yan Jifei's expression immediately turned ugly when he saw Knight Sorrow. He had lost miserably to Knight Sorrow, and even his aunt had lost to the Tianyun School. Naturally, he wouldn't tell anyone. However, many of the people present had already received the news. It was just that no one pointed it out. Brother Qingshan, who is this person next to you? Do you know that this is a tea party for discussing heroes? Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can attend. Wu Yu, who was sitting at the head of the table, chided coldly. He knew who Knight Sorrow was, but he was deliberately making things difficult for him. As soon as Wu Yu spoke, the geniuses who had been discussing immediately turned their attention to Knight Sorrow and Ho Qingshan, who had just walked into the pavilion. Wu Yu was ranked 1st on the Feather God list. His aura was very strong. When Ho Qingshan was reprimanded by him, she immediately understood. This is Knight Sorrow from the Tianyun School. He is ranked on both the Feather God list and the Upper God list. I felt that he was suitable to attend this tea party, so I invited him. You think he's suitable? Did you ask for my permission? Ho Qingshan, who gave you the guts to bring someone here without permission? Wu Yu looked coldly at Ho Qingshan. This. Ho Qingshan felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave when Wu Yu's divine realm enveloped her. Even speaking was difficult. If you don't think he's suitable, we can leave. There's no need to be so aggressive. Knight Sorrow used his divine realm to block Wu Yu's divine realm. He helped Ho Qingshan out of the situation and prepared to leave. Chapter 2577. Ha! I finally know why Lin Tianxi, the prodigy of Tianqing Gate, was killed by Mu Baiyu. It turns out that the people of Tianqing Gate have no manners. Knight Sorrow laughed at Wu Yu's provocation. I've heard of a few famous prodigies in the God realm. Hegemen Tianai, Hegemen Clear Sound, Hegemen Buddha. Don't you find it ridiculous that a feather god like you thinks you can control the world? Hiss. Some of the geniuses present immediately sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard Yi Shan publicly insult Worryless. In their eyes, Wu Yu was a peerless prodigy who couldn't be challenged in the God realm. Many people treated him with respect, just like how they treated the experts of their sections. Yao Shi's eyes were filled with worry. She knew that Night's sorrow was very strong, at least a lot stronger than her. However, she wasn't sure how strong he would be compared to Wu Yu. After all, Wu Yu had been at the top of the feather god list for many years. No one knew how strong he was. What an interesting person. Shengxiu Yan of the Celestial Immortal sect smiled. She could see that Night's sorrow wasn't trying to play to the gallery. He wasn't afraid of Wu Yu at all. The Celestial Immortal sect was the most special sect in the Cloud Immortal continent. All of its disciples were female cultivators, and all of them were beautiful. Shangsu Yan was the same. There was a different feeling in his chuckle. Good. Very good. Night's sorrow, is it? I admire your boldness. Come, Wu Yu, propose a toast to you. Wu Yu couldn't stay calm after being insulted in public. He threw the wine cup at Night's sorrow. Night's sorrow, may not be a prodigy, but I don't want to drink a toast from trash. Since Wu Yu was clearly targeting him, Yishang didn't give him any face at all. He flicked out a beam of divine essence energy from his fingertip and directly shattered the wine cup. Then he said, Senior Brother Ho, since we're not welcome, let's go back. Okay. Let's go. Wu Yu's supercilious appearance made Ho Qingshan's heart rise with anger. Needless to say, if it wasn't for Night Sorrow's arrival today, he would definitely be targeted in all sorts of ways. You can come and go as you please. What do you think the tea party organized by Brother Wu Yu is? Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan turned around and prepared to leave, but Soaring Heaven Sex when Tian he immediately slammed the table and stood up. Xianyuan Changya from Tianxian School also stood up and scolded, if you don't give Brother Wu Yu an explanation, don't even think about leaving. Senior brother, what are you doing? Seeing that senior brother Xianyuan Changya actually stood up to help Wu Yu berate Night's sorrow, now she immediately questioned with a frown. Senior brother is preparing to teach a lesson to someone with no manners. Xianyuan Changya snorted unhappily and asked in return, why, do you know this person? Tianxian School's news was lagging behind. He was one of the few people who didn't know that Night's sorrow had defeated Yan Jifei. Night's sorrow is my good friend. He's not a person without manners. Wu Yu was clearly the one who provoked him first. Yao Shi suddenly stood up and walked to Night's sorrow's side. Junior sister. Sit back down. Have you been brainwashed by evil people? Seeing Yao Shi standing beside Night's sorrow, Xianyuan Changya immediately scolded loudly. I think you've been brainwashed. Night's sorrow, the atmosphere here has changed. Let's go. Yao Shi was originally a gentle person, but now she was a little angry. Her cheeks were a little red from anger. Wu Yu was clearly targeting Night's sorrow. However, Xianyuan Changya stood up for Wu Yu, which made her feel ashamed. Rebellion. Yao Shi, you're rebelling. Believe it or not, I'll get the elders of the sect to punish you. Seeing that Yao Shi was leaving, Xianyuan Changya hollered in a frenzy. I came from a branch of the Heavenly Profound sect and am not a member of the Heavenly Profound sect. What right do you have to punish me? Hearing Xianyuan Changya's holler, Yao Shi looked back and said, Xianyuan Changya, I'm telling you, because of you, I, Yao Shi, have chosen to withdraw from the 7th sect tournament. Let's go and find a place to have a few drinks. I'm really sorry to have implicated you and your senior brother in an argument. Night's sorrow looked at Yao Shi and said. Okay. Let's go. Actually, Yao Shi had chosen to stand out mainly for Yishang's sake. She was afraid that if Yishang had too few people on his side, Worryless would join forces with the other bootlickers to attack him. Everyone, wait for me. The alcohol here is very depressing. If you don't mind, count me in. I'm not very good at drinking. At this moment, Ao Qingsong of the Starry Sky Pavilion stood up drunkenly. Brother Qingsong. Seeing that Ao Qingsong stood up, Ho Qingshan immediately cupped his fists at him. "I'm not targeting you," Ao Qingsong said nonchalantly before continuing, "Brother Yi, I'm Ao Qingsong from the Starry Sky Pavilion. Yun Tianyi, that punk, would mention you every few days. Now that I've met you, you're indeed better than your reputation." Seeing that Yao Shi and Ao Qingsong stood on Night Sorrow's side, Wu Yu's face was bruised. Just now, he had said that Night Sorrow was a nobody. Now, there were two experts ranked in the top 10 of the God of Feathers list standing beside Night Sorrow. This was a slap to his face. "So you're Tianyi's senior brother. Nice to meet you." Hearing Ao Qingsong's words, Night Sorrow immediately remembered that Yun Tianyi, Zhuang He, and the others had indeed joined the Starry Sky Pavilion. After thinking for a moment, he sent a voice transmission. "Brother Qingsong, what's your relationship with Ao Qingshan?" "Ao Qingshan is my cousin. I, Ao Qingsong, admire what Brother Yi Shang has done for High Base City." Ao Qingsong replied with a voice transmission. He was also a cultivator from High Base City. "I wonder if Tianyi came this time. If he's here, we can have a drink together. He also knows Yao Shi. We fought side by side in the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave abode." Night Sorrow continued to send a voice transmission as they walked out of the pavilion. "That kid has fused with the blood essence of the Divine King. His strength has improved very quickly. Now that he has the strength to challenge the top 20 of the God of Feathers list, he naturally came this time. Brother Yi, take your friends and come with me to the Starry Sky Pavilion." Ao Qingsong invited Night Sorrow. "Okay. Let's go." Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. They were in Wu Yu's territory, but they dared to stand up and walk with him. This definitely required courage, and he appreciated it very much. Only 9 of the top 10 of the God of Feathers list had come, and 4 of them had left at once. Wu Yu's face had turned completely red. Now that things had turned out this way, he couldn't start a war. He could only threaten them coldly. "You'd better not let me meet you in the grand competition. I think it's you who'd better not let me meet you." Night Sorrow turned back and glanced at Wu Yu. The smell of gunpowder between the two of them was already quite strong. After leaving the pavilion of Wu Yu Peak, the group arrived at the peak where the Starry Sky Pavilion was located. After chatting with Yun Tianyi for a while, the few of them raised their glasses and chatted under the moonlight. They had similar thoughts. After the grand competition, they would choose to break through to the upper divine realm. They wouldn't be like some people who would continue to settle down for the so-called foundation. While drinking, Ao Qingsong told Night Sorrow something. Wu Yu was the younger brother of the Divine King. After hearing this news, Night Sorrow's impression of Wu Yu became even worse. As for the grand competition, they had a tacit understanding and didn't mention it. Chapter 2578. When it was time for the 7-sect tournament, Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan returned to the Tianyun School's camp and headed to the venue with everyone else. Yao Shi didn't want to return to the Tianxian School's camp to see Xianyuan Changye, so she left a message for the Tianxian School's elder to tell him that she was withdrawing. Then, she went to the square that the Tianqing Gate had set up for the 7-sect tournament with the other Tianyun School's disciples. The square was built by a mountain that had been cut in half, and a defensive array was set up by the Divine King's array formation master. The sturdiness of the array had already surpassed the level of the God of Feathers. It was also very spacious, and there were more than 10,000 seats around the 16 arenas. At this time, the seats were already full. Most of the audience were disciples of the Tianqing Gate, and some were from other sects in the Yunxian continent. There were also people from the Tianyun School, but they weren't from the sect. After the people of the 7 sects were all seated, the sect master of the Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, gave the opening speech of the 7-sect tournament. Then, the host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy sect master of the Tianqin Gate, Liang Shijun, began to read the rules of the tournament. There are a total of 35 participants in this tournament. One person has already withdrawn, so there are 34 people left. After some research, we have decided that the first round will be decided by drawing lots. 32 of the 34 people will be selected to advance. What? The first round is decided by drawing lots. Does that mean that anyone can be eliminated? The qualification isn't decided by one's strength. What kind of F*King rule is this? Does it mean that there are 2 unlucky people who didn't even have a chance to participate in the 7-sect tournament and ended up in the 33rd and 34th place? Exactly. Isn't this a joke? If Worryless is eliminated, that would be too laughable. Many people began to complain when they heard the F*King rule. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? They can't be targeting Night Sorrow, right? When this rule was made public, Lu Qingyuan's face immediately turned ashen. If they're really targeting Night Sorrow, then they're really shameless. Si Kongxiang said worriedly. Mei Ruoxue and Ho Qingshan's expressions were also very ugly. If Night Sorrow was eliminated by them in this way, then this 7-sect grand tournament would really be too disappointing. Let's draw lots first. Let's see what they're up to. As the person involved, Night Sorrow was relatively calm. After all, if the draw was fair, the probability of him being picked was very small. That's the only way. If Night Sorrow is really selected, then I, Tianyun School, will immediately withdraw from the 7-sect tournament. As the leader of the Tianyun School team, Lu Qingyuan was naturally the representative to draw lots. When he went to draw lots, everyone, including Night Sorrow, was rather nervous. No one wanted to be picked. The process of drawing lots was relatively fast. Not long after, the 2 people who were eliminated were determined. When the names of the eliminated people were read out, the crowd was in an uproar. Because these 2 people were both from Tianyun School. One was Night Sorrow, and the other was Ho Qingshan. The 2 strongest people in Tianyun School were directly eliminated before they could participate in the tournament. They were ranked 33rd and 34th respectively. F***CK. Tianqin Gates bastards. You're too shameless. When the results were read out, Lu Qingyuan was so angry that he cursed. F***CKU. These bastards are really despicable. Si Kongxiang was so angry that his hands were trembling. The other people from Tianyun School looked even worse. They knew that they would be targeted, but Night Sorrow didn't even have a chance to make a move before he was eliminated. This almost angered them to death. Even Yao Shi was so angry that she clenched her fists and said disdainfully, "This is too much. This is really too much. There's no point in holding this 7-sect tournament anymore. No. I protest. I want to protest. What kind of rule is this? It's obvious that you're targeting Tianyun School." Lu Qingyuan shouted, but no one paid any attention to him. He directly rushed to the rostrum and complained. "Elder Lu, you're wrong. Things like drawing lots are determined by luck. The fact that 2 disciples from Tianyun School were selected proves that Tianyun School's luck isn't good. It's not that the rules of the 7-sect tournament are unfair." The host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy gate master of Tianqin Gate, Liang Shijun, replied with a cold face. "Fair. Fair my ass. You're just afraid that Night Sorrow will steal Wuyo's first place, so you're using all kinds of methods. Am I right? Ho Wanli, what do you think is going on?" Lu Qingyuan, whose face was livid, immediately rebuked angrily. Ho Wanli, who was sitting on the rostrum, came from Tianyun School and was one of the 7 chairmen of this tournament. The rules were set by everyone. I'm also heartbroken that Night Sorrow and Qing Shan were selected, but this is the truth. We have to accept it. Ho Wanli, who was on the rostrum, said with a pained expression, Elder Lu, please return to your seat. Don't interfere with the 7-sect tournament. He was a distant relative of the deputy gate master, Ho Jun. He must have been bribed this time. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like this. Ho Wanli, you traitor. Hearing Ho Wanli's words, Lu Qingyuan's face became even uglier. He sneered and said, I don't want to participate in this shameless 7-sect tournament. I, Tianyun School, choose to withdraw. After saying that, he returned to Tianyun School's seat and said, let's go. The disciples and elders of Tianyun School all stood up from their seats and prepared to leave together. At this time, Wu Yu, who was at Tianqing Gate, stood up. He looked at Night Sorrow provocatively and transmitted his voice, this is the price you have to pay for provoking me. Take care, I won't see you off. Wu Yu, just based on your temperament, I, Night Sorrow, can fight against 10 of you. At this time, Night Sorrow was quite angry. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen a sect as shameless as Tianqing Gate. He replied coldly. Hee, you think that you are invincible in the Divine Feather Realm after defeating Yan Jifei? Wu Yu replied disdainfully. Even if I am not invincible in the Divine Feather Realm, killing you is as easy as killing a chicken. Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Wu Yu. He condensed his divine origin energy and shouted in the square, Tianqing Gate Wu Yu, I, Tianyun School's Night Sorrow, challenge you to a battle of life and death. Do you dare to fight with me? After transmitting his voice to Wu Yu, he issued a challenge to Wu Yu in front of everyone. If you don't let me participate in the tournament, then I will use a challenge to defeat you. Let's see if you have the face to win the tournament again. Hua! Hearing that Night Sorrow had issued a challenge to the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament, the audience was in an uproar. I would like to fight with you, but now is the time of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. You have been eliminated and are not qualified to fight with me. Facing Night Sorrow's challenge, Wu Yu raised his voice and shouted, besides, I am the number 1 person on the Divine Feather list, the previous champion of the 7-sect Grand Tournament. Am I someone that can be casually challenged by a cat or dog? That's right, senior brother Wu Yu is not someone you can challenge just because you want to. I think you are crazy because you want to be famous. Many of the Tianqing Gate disciples present insulted Night Sorrow. When Tian He of Soaring Heaven Sect and Xianyuan Changyi of Tianyuan School also transmitted their voices to Night Sorrow. Chapter 2579. Who is this Night Sorrow? Why is he so arrogant? Not only did he challenge senior brother Wu Yu, he even dares to challenge the top 3 experts. He's just trying to please the crowd. That's right. He's not even fit to carry senior brother Wu Yu's shoes. Some of the Heavenly Clear Sect's disciples, especially the female disciples, began to chatter and disdain Yushang. They didn't even know that Night Sorrow was ranked 3rd on the Divine Feather list and was also on the Divine Feather list. They only blindly worshipped Wu Yu. As for Wu Yu, he was quickly losing face after being challenged by Night Sorrow. He was afraid that if he didn't accept the challenge, he would be seen as a coward. He glared at Night Sorrow and said, "You're far from qualified to challenge the 3 of us. But seeing how blindly confident you are, Wu Yu, will give you a chance. When the 7-sect tournament is over, I'll give you the chance to challenge junior brother Dongfangli. If you can beat my junior brother, you can fight me." Wu Yu's words were decent, but he emphasized that he would only bring it up after the 7-sect tournament. When the dust settled, no one would care about the so-called challenge. Since when does the 3rd on the Divine Feather list need to challenge the 7th to prove his strength? Night Sorrow sneered at Wu Yu. I've already defeated Yan Jifei. Do I still need to challenge Dongfang Li to prove myself? Hearing this, some of the spectators from the Tianqing Gate and other sects were shocked. Some of them had thought that Knight Sorrow wasn't qualified to challenge Wu Yu, but now they felt that it was normal for the third to challenge the first. They also felt that it was a pity that the third on the Divine Feather list had been eliminated by drawing lots. Seeing that the situation wasn't right, the host of the 7-sect tournament, the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, suddenly spoke up. No matter where you are on the Divine Feather list, you've been eliminated by the rules. If you continue to speak and affect the competition, don't blame me for personally killing you. This time, Tianqing Gate had already decided that they would not allow Knight Sorrow to participate in the Feather Deity Group competition no matter what. However, if he participated in the Deity Group, then there would be no problem. Knight Sorrow, let's not talk about it. The incident happened at Tianqing Gate. Lu Qingyuan was afraid that the other party's masters would attack Knight Sorrow, so he immediately warned him. Although the Divine King Zhuangqing, who was in his spatial artifact, was just as displeased, he still reminded him, Knight Sorrow is the future of Tianyun School. We can't let Tianqing Gate find an excuse to attack him. Our Tianyun School will withdraw from this year's competition first. All right. Lu Qingyuan, who was trying to console Knight Sorrow, spoke to him for a while before leading the Tianyun School group in the direction they had left. At this time, everyone from the Starry Sky Pavilion also stood up. Zhuang Xinghe, the vice-sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, who was leading the group, snorted coldly. It's fine if we don't participate in the 7-sects tournament. Friends of Tianyun School, wait for us. Then, he led the group to chase after the Tianyun School group. They had chosen to stand on Tianyun School's side. Sect leader Zhuang, calm down. Don't be rash. Liang Shijun, the vice-sect leader of Tianqing Gate, immediately stopped him when he saw that the Starry Sky Pavilion was about to withdraw. What else do you want to say? In the future, you can have fun in the 7-sects tournament. The fame, ranking, and rewards will all belong to you. Zhuang Xinghe glared at Liang Shijun, snorted coldly, and ignored him. He walked to Yishang's side and said, Little friend, Yishang's spirit is extraordinary. Your courage and insight in fighting 1 against 3 is admirable. Senior, you flatter me. Knight Sorrow just can't stand their shamelessness. Knight Sorrow said modestly. A real powerhouse is born fearless. You should be like Knight Sorrow. Wu Yo is talented, but he has gone astray. Zhuang Xinghe smiled and chatted with Knight Sorrow. At the same time, the disciples of Tianyun School and the Starry Sky Pavilion in the audience all stood up from their seats and followed the disciples of the 2 sections. There were about 2,000 people in this group. It was a grand scene. Nonsense. Tianyun School and the Starry Sky Pavilion, you are unreasonable. Tan Qingfeng, the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, stood up and scolded angrily after the Tianyun School and the Starry Sky Pavilion left. Now that things had turned out this way, it was already a mess. His face was not looking good. You are the unreasonable ones. He is just a feather god. How can you be so scared? Not only did you try to change the rules, but you also tried to kick him out. Are you so afraid that Tianyun School will turn the tables in the 7-sect tournament? Zhuang Xinghe, the deputy sect leader of the Starry Sky Pavilion, frowned and replied. Lu Qingyuan's status was not high enough to represent the Tianyun School. Are you two ready to become enemies with the other sects? Tan Qingfeng didn't continue to talk about the 7-sect tournament. Instead, he asked coldly. If Tianqing Gate wants to fight, the Starry Sky Pavilion will accompany you. But don't accuse us. Tianqing Gate can't represent the 5 major sects. Zhuang Xinghe said fearlessly. The Starry Sky Pavilion was different from Tianyun School. Their sect leader wasn't missing and wasn't weak. They weren't afraid of Tianqing Gate at all. Hearing this, Yu Jingxian, the deputy sect leader of Soaring Heaven sect, immediately stood up and said, "The 7-sect tournament represents the face of the 7 sections. The Starry Sky Pavilion and Tianyun School's withdrawal is a slap in the face of the 5 sections. Naturally, they are our enemies." The people of Tianyun School and the Heavenly Martial Pavilion also stood up and supported Tianqing Gate. The smell of gunpowder was getting stronger. Shang Su-yen of the Heavenly Immortal sect suddenly stood up and said softly, "Seniors, can you listen to this junior?" "Shang Su-yen, what do you have to say?" "Say it." The sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, nodded. "This junior thinks that the 7 sects have existed for so many years. There is no need to be so tense because of the 7-sect tournament." Shang Su-yen pondered for a moment and continued, "Since Tianyun School thinks that the rules are unreasonable, we can adjust the rules appropriately and give Night Sorrow a chance to participate. Wouldn't this matter be resolved? Can the rules be changed just because you want to?" Hearing this, Tan Qingfeng looked at Shang Su-yen with displeasure. He originally thought that Shang Su-yen would represent the Heavenly Immortal sect and stand on Tianqing Gate's side. Didn't the rules of this 7-sect tournament suddenly change? If that's the case, why don't we change it again and give everyone a chance to participate? What's wrong with that? Shang Su-yen said softly, but everyone present could hear him clearly. "You! Sit down." Tan Qingfeng was so angry that he snorted. "Sect leader Tan, you're so impressive. Are you not giving anyone a chance to speak? In the future, the 7 sects will have to follow the will of Tianqing Gate." At this moment, a cold voice suddenly came from Shang Su-yan's seat. "So what if I'm impressive? So what if I'm not? Does the Heavenly Immortal sect want to follow in the footsteps of Tianyun School and the Heavenly Star Pavilion?" Tan Qingfeng, who was completely enraged, replied coldly. "Yes, so what?" The murderous intent in his cold voice grew heavier. "Yes. I'll destroy." Tan Qingfeng originally wanted to say something ruthless, but halfway through, he saw that the person who spoke was a shadow. Chapter 2580. What's going on? Why is our sect leader kneeling before a phantom? Is she some kind of big shot? Seeing Tan Qingfeng kneeling before the phantom of the woman playing the zither, the disciples of Tianqing Gate began to discuss among themselves. In their hearts, Tan Qingfeng was a supreme being. His sudden kneeling down shocked countless people. At this time, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, quickly kowtowed and said, "My lady, Tan Qingfeng is guilty. Please forgive me." "You, Tan Qingfeng, aren't you a big shot? Why are you kneeling on the ground?" The woman playing the zither snorted. "I don't dare to be powerful in front of you. Please forgive me for my offense." Tan Qingfeng kept kowtowing and apologizing. "Tan Qingfeng. The 7 sects have existed for countless reincarnations. Don't let your arbitrary actions destroy the unity of the 7 sects. As for the 7 sects tournament, it's meant to select talents, not to compete for fame and fortune. You're on your own now." After saying this, the zither-playing woman's silhouette completely disappeared into the void. She didn't release any divine realm from the beginning to the end. However, Tan Qingfeng, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled as he stood up. His robe was soaked in sweat. The big shots of the other sects also kept quiet out of fear. Then, Tan Qingfeng and the others invited Tianyun School and the people of the Starry Sky Pavilion back to their seats with smiles on their faces. After apologizing, they announced a new set of rules for the 7 sects tournament's Divine Feather Group. Although the challenge tournament was still held, Tianqing Gate took the initiative to withdraw 2 people to make room for Night Sorrow and Ho Qingshan. However, only the top 3 sects in each sect would be selected. The sect with the lowest number would be the champion of the Divine Feather group of the 7 sects tournament. Tianqing Gate seemed to be generous this time, but in fact, they had their own plans. The sect that won the 7 sects tournament would be blessed by the Heavenly Cloud Continent's luck. They were unwilling to give it away, otherwise, they wouldn't have targeted Night Sorrow. If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. The people from Tianqing Gate are despicable. When Lu Qingyuan was drawing lots on behalf of Tianyun School, Si Kongxiang said disdainfully, "Who was that girl just now? He obviously doesn't have any aura, but he was able to make Tan Qingfeng kneel. He's really not simple. Are you a pig? Tan Qingfeng is one of the strongest in the Divine King. Who else can scare him?" Upon hearing Si Kongxiang's words, Mei Ruoshua couldn't help but mock him. Could it really be he Gemin voiceless sound? Si Kongxiang muttered and sighed. No wonder everyone wants to become a ruler. Even a phantom image could scare the Divine King into kneeling and begging for mercy. This feeling was simply too great. If I can become a sovereign, then you can go to sleep now. You'll become a sovereign soon. Mei Ruoshua mocked him. I'm afraid I won't even have the chance to become a sovereign in my dreams. However, Night Sorrow has it. We can now hug his thigh. Ha! Elder Lu told me that Night Sorrow has the disposition of a sovereign. Si Kongxiang looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. Disposition of a sovereign. Mei Ruoshua and the other feather gods of Tianyun School all looked at Night Sorrow. Although they knew that Night Sorrow was very powerful, they didn't know that he was so talented. When they heard this news, they were all shocked. Why are you all looking at me? We are all feather gods. It's too early to talk about the topic of a sovereign. Night Sorrow, who had responded, was actually speechless. Just now, when he opened his sea serpent eye, he discovered that the Guqin woman's projection was actually Shangshu Yan's projection. It wasn't the legendary sovereign Qin Yin at all. Tan Qingfeng actually knelt down to Shangshu Yan, a feather god. If this news spread, he would definitely be laughed at. At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed that Shangshu Yan was looking at him. He smiled and said telepathically, "Aren't you afraid of being discovered by pretending to be a sovereign?" What? You actually saw through it. Hearing Night Sorrow's telepathic message, Shangshu Yan's face showed a hint of surprise. I'm curious. Tan Qingfeng is a divine king. Why can't he see through it? The projection just now didn't even release its divine realm. Night Sorrow was very curious about why Tan Qingfeng and the others were stunned. It's because he has a guilty conscience. When he saw the legendary Guqin woman, he immediately thought of that person. He deserves to kneel. Shangshu Yan replied to Night Sorrow and continued, "This time, I helped you in Tianyun School. How are you going to thank me? If we meet in the arena, can you let me win this time?" Let you win? Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "Since you helped me, I can let you win this time. If we meet in the finals, I will choose to forfeit." If they met in the finals before Wu Yu was eliminated, he definitely wouldn't let him win. Okay. It's a deal. I didn't help you for nothing. A sly smile appeared on Shangshu Yan's face. At this moment, the leaders of the 7 sects all returned to their respective camps. Not long after, the results of the draw were announced. Night Sorrow's opponent in the first round was Lin Guanyu from Tianqian School. He was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list and shouldn't be a threat. Ho Qingshan's opponent was Dong Fengli from Tianqing Gate. He was ranked 7th on the Feather God list. His luck wasn't very good. He met such a strong opponent in the first round. Yan Zheng's opponent was Fan Su from Soaring Heaven sect. Fan Su was ranked in the 20s on the Feather God list. Logically speaking, Yan Zheng's victory wasn't much of a surprise. Si Kongxiang's luck was off the charts. His opponent was a female cultivator ranked 39th on the Feather God list. This female cultivator was the weakest in the 7-sect grand competition. As for Mei Ruoxue, after the draw, her 7-sect grand competition also ended. Her opponent was Wen Tianhe from Soaring Heaven sect. Wen Tianhe was ranked 5th on the Feather God list. She definitely wasn't his opponent. There were 16 arenas in the 7-sect grand competition. After the draw, the 5 Feather Gods from Tianyun School went up to the arenas. Knight Sorrow followed the 7-sect grand competition's disciplinary elder to arena number 3. Tianxian School's Lin Guanyu was already waiting there. Lin Guanyu, as his name suggested, had an outstanding appearance. However, when he looked at Knight Sorrow, his eyes were filled with intense hatred. When Knight Sorrow entered the arena, Lin Guanyu coldly asked, "What's your relationship with Yao Shi? What does our relationship have to do with you?" When Lin Guanyu spoke, Knight Sorrow understood that he was an admirer of Yao Shi. "If you have a relationship with her, you will die by my hands. Otherwise, I will spare your life." Lin Guanyu glared at Knight Sorrow with hatred. His words were filled with killing intent. "You want to kill me? I'm afraid you're thinking too much." Knight Sorrow smiled in the face of the threat. With his strength, he didn't fear anyone in the arena. However, Lin Guanyu's gaze was somewhat sinister, which made him feel that something was wrong. Leaving the arena, admitting defeat, or being killed are all considered as elimination. If the opponent admits defeat and continues to fight, it will be considered a violation of the rules and will be severely punished. In addition, divine talismans and other illegal items cannot be used. The other arenas have already started, so you too should hurry up and start. Chapter 2581. Okay. Let's start. Knight Sorrow was reminded by the law enforcement patriarch and cupped his fists. As for Lin Guanyu, he still had a dead face. He stared at Knight Sorrow and said, "You haven't answered my question. Are you under some kind of curse?" Lin Guanyu asked the same question again. Knight Sorrow replied impatiently. At this time, Lin Guanyu suddenly laughed evilly and said, "My heart belongs to the moon, but the moon shines on the ditch. Are you crazy?" Knight Sorrow looked at him and was speechless. However, under such circumstances, he was too embarrassed to make the first move. He could only wait and see what was wrong with Lin Guanyu. Yao Shi and I should have been a match made in heaven, but she couldn't see it clearly. Lin Guanyu looked sad. Suddenly, his face became ferocious and he said, "Knight Sorrow, go to hell. I won't let you get Yao Shi." Then, he threw out an invincible divine monarch-level divine talisman at Yishang. "Bastard! You deserve to die. I've said that talismans are not allowed in the duel." Seeing Lin Guanyu throw the talisman, the law enforcement patriarch immediately roared and activated the divine king-level array in the arena to stop all this. However, Lin Guanyu's attack was too sudden. By the time he reacted, the talisman had already been thrown at Knight Sorrow. It was too late to stop it. "You want to kill me with an invincible monarch god talisman? You think too much." When Knight Sorrow fought with Yan Jifei, he had been attacked by a divine king god talisman. Although he was seriously injured, his life was in Wu's hands. Facing Lin Guanyu's talisman, he did the same. Although he was injured, it was not a big problem. "What? This can't kill you." Seeing that Knight Sorrow had survived the talisman, Lin Guanyu roared unwillingly, "I thought," boom. At this time, the array in the arena was activated and Lin Guanyu's divine soul was directly destroyed. The audience watching this duel all cursed. They felt that Lin Guanyu's behavior was very shameful. Why did I encounter such a weirdo in the first duel? Knight Sorrow lamented and took out a healing elixir to recover from Lin Guanyu's injuries. After the law enforcement patriarch announced the victory, he, who had recovered from his injuries, left the arena to watch the other Tianyun school's duel. At this time, he felt a murderous intent coming from afar. Yi Shang raised his head and saw that it was Tan Qingfeng, the leader of the Tianqing school, staring at him from afar. "Kid, let me give you a word of advice. Only by living a long life in the God realm would one be able to fully realize their talents. You're on your own in this competition." Noticing that Yi Shang was looking at him, Tan Qingfeng warned him. It turned out that he was the one who gave Ling Guanyu the talisman. "Take care. Are you trying to imitate the sovereign? Unfortunately, you don't have that kind of courage." Knight Sorrow, who understood Tan Qingfeng's meaning, replied disdainfully. He didn't believe that Tan Qingfeng would dare to attack him in front of so many people. "Bastard! I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Let me tell you this. No matter who you meet in the next duel, as long as you win, I will do my best to kill you after the 7-sect tournament. The Tianyun school is already in its twilight years. It can't protect you." Tan Qingfeng threatened coldly. He was determined to win the Feather Deity competition this time. "I, Knight Sorrow, have never surrendered in my life. If you want to kill me, then be prepared to face my wrath." Knight Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng without thinking. However, he had already started to think of a countermeasure. Although he didn't choose to compromise when threatened by a divine king, one could imagine the pressure in his heart. The Tianyun school's sect master was missing. The Tianyun school's Zhuangqing, the divine king, shouldn't be a match for Tan Qingfeng. This was a very serious problem. "Ha! Your wrath. Do you think I care about the wrath of a divine feather realm ant? Do you know how insignificant you are? Do you know how powerful I am?" Tan Qingfeng laughed disdainfully. "Let me give you a word of advice. It's better to provoke an old man than to bully a poor young man." Knight Sorrow replied Tan Qingfeng and ignored him. He went to the 4th arena next door to watch Mei Ruoshua's duel. The duel went as expected. Mei Ruoshua didn't have the slightest ability to resist. She was quickly defeated. After losing, Mei Ruoshua wasn't too dispirited. This was an expected result. Seeing Knight Sorrow in the stands, she walked out of the arena with Knight Sorrow and went to the 7th arena to watch the duel between Ho Qingshan and Dongfangli. This was the only clash of the strongest in the first round. It was exactly as everyone had expected. The 7th and 8th ranked on the Divine Feather list clashed. The battle was very intense. Ho Qingshan and Dongfangli fought for more than 2 hours. They were still evenly matched. Neither could do anything to the other. "Knight Sorrow, do you think senior brother Ho will win?" Mei Ruoshua asked as she watched the duel. She clasped her hands together and prayed nervously. Their strength is similar, their divine weapons are of the same grade, and their battle techniques are similar. They can't use pills to recover their divine origin energy. It depends on who has accumulated more divine origin energy. Knight Sorrow gave his opinion. Even he couldn't tell who would win. However, Knight Sorrow, who had activated the Clam Dragon's Eye, deduced a new palm technique from the moves of the 2 experts on the Divine Feather list. It was a good result. He named this palm technique the Samsara Void Palm. The palm technique was mainly based on the Samsara attribute. It was paired with the Spacetime attribute. As Knight Sorrow was deducing the palm technique, Yi Mo and Dongfangli exchanged blows. Si Kongxiang and Yan Jing, who had won, came to his and Mei Ruoshua's side to watch Ho Qingshan's duel. At the end of the duel, Ho Qingshan and Dongfangli had used up all their divine origin energy. They could only rely on their physical strength to fight. Their body refinement realms weren't very high. They hadn't reached the Divine Feather realm yet. The battle was very intense. Even after the other duels had ended, the two of them were still fighting. Senior brother Ho, it's not easy. Ho Qing-shan, who was fighting, was bathed in blood. Mei Ruoshue's eyes turned red. Senior brother Ho, you can do it. Hang in there. You will win. Knight Sorrow, Si Kongxiang, and Yan Jing all cheered for Ho Qing-shan. Off the stage, they were even more nervous than Ho Qing-shan on the stage. There were more disciples watching the duel from Tianqing Gate. When they heard Knight Sorrow and the others' cheers, they started cheering for Dongfangli. Very good. You have angered me. Ho Qing-shan heard the cheers of the disciples from Tianqing Gate. He screamed and rushed toward Dongfangli again. Qing-shan, you can do it. Win or lose, the Tianyun school will be proud of you. Lu Qingyuan, who had stood up from his seat, shouted. It's useless. Junior brother Dongfang will win this duel. At this moment, Wuyo slowly walked over to Yi Shang and the others and coldly said. Chapter 2582. It turned out that Dongfangli had transformed from a white wolf into a human. There was no doubt that a monster's close combat ability was much stronger than that of a human cultivator's. Seeing him transform into a 6-meter-tall white wolf, everyone from Tianyun School was worried. Even Knight Sorrow was worried about Ho Qing-shan. Oh whoa! Ho Qing-shan, you are very strong. But if you don't admit defeat now, I will tear you to pieces with my fangs. Dongfangli, who had transformed into a wolf, looked ferocious and wild. His fangs looked very scary. Admit defeat to Tianqing Gate. People from Tianyun School will never do that. Ho Qing-shan, who was almost covered in blood, responded disdainfully to Dongfangli's threat. If he had encountered people from other sects, he might not have been able to hold on until now. But Tianqing Gate's actions had completely angered him. Yes. People from Tianyun School can lose to anyone but Tianqing Gate. Lu Qingyuan, who was also angered by Tianqing Gate, shouted in the crowd. But he also knew that Ho Qing-shan could not fight against Dongfangli, who had transformed into a wolf. His heart was in his throat. Senior brother Ho, you can do it. The others were also shouting, but their voices were drowned out by the voices of the Tianqing Gate disciples. You won't admit defeat. I hope you can hold on until the end and not admit defeat. Then I can tear you to pieces. Dongfangli, who had transformed into a white wolf, looked up to the sky and howled. He was ready to charge at Ho Qing-shan. Your shouts have encouraged me. I, Ho Qing-shan, will fight to the death even if I can't participate in the next round. At this time, Ho Qing-shan turned his head and looked at Knight Sorrow and the others who were cheering for him. He mouthed a sentence. Then he roared in an extremely wild manner, "Awaken! Sacred Ape Bloodline!" Accompanied by the roar, his body suddenly enlarged and transformed into a giant golden ape. Hua! After Ho Qing-shan transformed into a giant ape, there was an uproar. Everyone in Tianqing Gate, including the gate master, the elders, and the disciples who were watching the battle, was shocked. Who would have thought that Ho Qing-shan, who had fought to this extent, could actually transform? Originally, they thought that Dongfangli's transformation was already in the bag. I didn't expect you to be able to transform as well. But so what? Die! In the arena, Dongfangli suddenly turned into a streak of light and rushed toward Ho Qing-shan, who had just transformed into a giant ape. He wanted to catch him off guard. Roar! In the face of Dongfangli's attack, Ho Qing-shan roared. He took out a huge iron rod from his spatial artifact and slammed it towards Dongfangli's white wolf form. Bang! This staff smashed hard on the white wolf's head, deforming half of its head. Ho Qing-shan, who had transformed into a giant ape, continued to raise his iron rod towards the white wolf. This move seemed simple and unadorned, but its speed was shockingly fast. The white wolf was hit once again, and its spine was almost smashed into pieces. After hitting his opponent twice in a row, Ho Qingshan's momentum suddenly surged, and he continued to suppress Dongfang Li. Great. I didn't expect senior brother Ho's true form to be a holy ape. And he's so powerful. We'll definitely win this battle. Ho Qingshan's attack made Si Kongxiang cheer happily. Awesome. Lu Qingyuan's eyebrows also relaxed a lot. Mei Ruoxue, Yan Zheng, and Yun Tingfei, who hadn't fought yet, were also very excited. Only Knight Sorrow showed a trace of worry between his eyebrows. He used the eye of the sea serpent to see that Ho Qingshan's true form wasn't a holy ape. He was just forcibly activating his bloodline to have the opportunity to transform. This transformation was different from Dongfang Li's. Ho Qingshan wouldn't last long before he returned to his human form. If he couldn't defeat Dongfang Li quickly, he would be in great danger. He probably wouldn't even have the strength to surrender after the transformation ended. Junior brother Dongfang, don't fight him head-on. Waste time with him. It won't be long before he suffers the backlash of the transformation. When that time comes, it'll be easy for you to kill him. At this moment, Wu Yu, who had also seen through Ho Qingshan's strength, shouted. After shouting, Wu Yu realized that his voice was completely covered. He transmitted his voice to Dongfang Li and repeated his words. Wu Yu, you despicable person. Si Kongxiang, who had noticed Wu Yu's warning, immediately scolded him. If you've studied the rules of this year's grand competition, you'll understand that it's okay to warn people outside the competition. I'm just using the rules reasonably. How can you say that I'm despicable? There was a sneer on Wu Yu's face. The fact that the people of the Tianyun clan were upset made him feel very comfortable. After Wu Yu's warning, the heavily injured Dongfang Li regained his confidence. He used the speed of the wolf clan to wear down Ho Qingshan. Roar! Dongfang Li's movement technique was integrated with a trace of the spatial attribute. He was very fast. Ho Qingshan felt that he couldn't exert his strength. He, who had transformed into a giant ape, knew that he would soon return to his human form. He roared anxiously. What are you roaring for? When the time comes, you'll become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Wu Yu, who knew Ho Qingshan's mentality, stood beside the people from Tianyun School and laughed loudly. Lu Qingyuan and the others from Tianyun School wanted to say something, but they had nothing to say. Call him despicable and shameless. That would be useless. If you hadn't reminded him, Dongfang Li would have won. Unfortunately, he'll definitely lose now. When you reminded him, you also reminded me. At this moment, Knight Sorrow suddenly laughed. After activating the eye of the sea serpent, he began to carefully observe Dongfang Li's movement technique. After completely seeing through Dongfang Li's movement technique, Knight Sorrow transmitted his voice to Ho Qingshan. Senior brother Ho, listen to my command for your next attack. Hit wherever I tell you to. Ho Qingshan, who had transformed into a giant golden ape, was stunned for a moment. Then he responded, okay. I'll listen to you. In the following battle, with Knight Sorrow's command, Ho Qingshan was able to see through Dongfang Li's movement technique every time and successfully hit him. Not long after, Dongfang Li was completely knocked out. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. Good hit. Iron Rod is mighty. Dongfang Li, who had transformed into a giant wolf, was completely knocked out. The referee immediately stopped Ho Qingshan's next attack and announced that he had won. Hearing the referee announce his victory, Ho Qingshan couldn't hold on any longer. He transformed back into his human form and collapsed on the stage. Ho Qing-shan, who was ranked 8th on the Feather God list, defeated the 7th on the Feather God list and successfully advanced to the next round. While the Tianyun school students were wildly celebrating, they all flew onto the stage. Senior Brother Ho, how are you? This is an elixir that can quickly recover your God essence energy and heal your injuries. Hurry up and take it. Knight Sorrow knew that Ho Qing-shan didn't even have the strength to move. He hurriedly took out an elixir and stuffed it into his mouth. If you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have won this battle. 8th place is still a bit weaker than 7th place. The Feather God list's rankings are correct. The extremely weak Ho Qing-shan recovered a bit after taking the elixir. Chapter 2583. Senior Brother Ho, other than junior sister who met a strong opponent and lost, the others have advanced to the next round. Mei Ruoshue, who had been eliminated, was afraid that others would be too embarrassed to mention this matter, so she directly said it. Although she had been eliminated, she was still in a good mood. So many people from Tianyun School had advanced to the next round. Very good. 4 people from Tianyun School have advanced to the top 16. And there's still a chance for them to advance further. We're already halfway to success in this 7-sect tournament. Senior Brother forcefully activated his bloodline, so he won't be able to participate in the next round. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Ho Qing-shan had a smile on his face. Although he couldn't participate in the next round, he was satisfied that he had eliminated the second strongest person from Tianqing Gate, Dong Fangli, Senior Brother. We won't let you down. Si Kongxiang quickly responded. However, he wasn't very confident about the next round. His strength was ranked last in the top 16 of the Feather Gods group. Everyone did very well. The next round will be held in 3 days. Let's go back and adjust. 5 people participated in the battle, and 4 of them advanced to the top 16. This made Lu Qingyuan very happy. After saying this, he personally helped Ho Qing-shan up. Bastards! Bastards! I get angry when I see the people from Tianyun School. In the distance, looking at the people of the Tianyun clan who were in high spirits, Tan Qingfeng, the master of the Tianqing clan, was so angry that his face turned pale. Lin Tianxi, the genius who had been killed by Mu Baiyu in Tianqing Gate, was his direct disciple. That was why Tianqing Gate was so against Tianyun School. Ha, Brother Yi, Tianyi is here to congratulate you on behalf of the Starry Sky Pavilion for your excellent results in Tianyun School. Knight Sorrow and the others had just come out of the arena when Yun Tianyi, who had joined the Starry Sky Pavilion, came over to congratulate them with a smile. Ha, look at your happy face. You must have advanced as well, right? How are the results of the Heavenly Star Pavilion? How many people have advanced? The smile on Yun Tianyi's face was almost uncontrollable. Knight Sorrow asked with a smile. 3. Other than me and Senior Brother Qing Song, there's also Senior Sister Chen Yun. Ha! Our 2 sects have taken 7 spots in the top 16. That's almost half of the top 16. Tan Qingfeng's face must be very ugly right now. Yun Tianyi said with a smile. He clasped his hands and said gratefully, I still have to thank Brother Yi for taking me to the cave to obtain opportunities. Otherwise, I would barely have the strength to enter the Divine Feathers list. This is your own destiny. There's no need to thank me. If there's nothing else, why don't our 2 sects celebrate together? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. The people of the Starry Sky Pavilion were loyal. He admired them and was willing to interact with them. Of course. I feel that no matter who it is, as long as they come into contact with you, they will have good luck. Yun Tianyi said with deep feelings. Ever since he met Knight Sorrow, his luck and strength had been constantly increasing. Ha, I think so too. Si Kongxiang heard Yuntiani say so and also joined in the fun. Ever since I met Brother Yi, my luck has been very good. I actually drew the weakest one. If you say so, I think that's true. After thinking about his own situation, Lu Qingyuan also nodded. After he met Night Sorrow, he won Yen Fangling back. What was done could not be undone. He was in a very good mood. Moreover, after it happened, Yen Fangling gradually got used to it. She was not as resistant to him as she was at the beginning. Seeing that Ho Qingshan was about to say something, Night Sorrow hurriedly stopped him. That's enough. That's enough. Let's go meet up with our friends from the Starry Sky Pavilion. Everyone saw that Night Sorrow was a little embarrassed and all of them laughed. The results of Tianyun School and the Starry Sky Pavilion were quite good, and no disciples were killed. They drank to their heart's content in the evening. On this day, the people of Tianyun School did not return to their residence. Instead, they stayed at the mountain where the Starry Sky Pavilion was located. However, the next day, the people of Tianyun School were all furious when they heard a piece of news. The High God State disciples of Tianyun School who stayed at the station to cultivate were unexpectedly attacked by a group of mysterious people that night. Including the few elders who stayed behind, a total of 11 people of Tianyun School were seriously injured. The incident happened at Tianqing Gate. They must be the ones who attacked. However, our negotiation will be of no use. The only thing we can do is to completely defeat them in the 7 sects tournament. Looking at the injured elders and disciples of Tianyun School, Lu Qingyuan said angrily, I hope that the 3 of you will not show mercy if you encounter people from Tianqing Gate. Elder Lu, don't worry. If I encounter people from Tianqing Gate, I will kill them directly. Other than Wu Yu, the rest of the people from Tianqing Gate are no match for me. Yan Zheng, who was also angered by Tianqing Gate, had a fierce look on his face. I will not show mercy either. Night Sorrow also said. Tianqing Gate's actions had completely enraged him. On the second day of the tournament, the people of Tianyun School came to the tournament venue again with a murderous look on their faces. Seeing them like this, Wu Yu from Tianqing Gate walked over with a smile on his face. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, What's wrong? The people of Tianyun School all look gloomy. Did you not rest well? Wu Yu, you better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, you won't even have the chance to beg for mercy. Night Sorrow glanced at Wu Yu with disdain, and then walked with the people of Tianyun School to their seats. Why are you so arrogant? Do you really think that I, Wu Yu, am afraid of you? If the sect leader didn't stop me, I would have killed you. Watching the people of the Tianyun clan leave, Wu Yu's brows were furrowed with a trace of viciousness. The people of Tianyun School did not continue to pay attention to him. After reaching their seats, Night Sorrow and the others waited where they were, while Lu Qingyuan continued to represent Tianyun School to participate in the drawing of lots. Sigh. I really hope that the people of Tianyun School will draw me. The people of Starry Sky Pavilion can do it too. Even if they can't, the fairies of Tianxian sect can do it too. I can't let the other sects take advantage of me. Ho Qingshan, who looked very pale, kept praying that he would not meet the people of Tianqing Gate while waiting for the drawing of lots. Otherwise, he would be in a very bad mood. This time, the cultivators who advanced to the top 16. Tianyun School had the most, with 4. The second was Tianqing Pavilion, with 3 people who advanced. Tianqing Gate, Tianxian Sect, and Tianwu Pavilion each had 2 people advance. Tianyun School had only 1 person advance to the top 16 because of Yao Shi's withdrawal. It was Xianyuan Changye, who was ranked 6th on the God of Feathers list. Hearing Ho Qingshan's words, Si Kongxiang comforted him. The other 4 sects only have 7 people advance. The chances of you drawing them are not high. Even he, who had a cheerful personality, did not smile today, which showed the determination of the people of Tianyun School. After about an hour, the results of this round of drawing lots were announced. Chapter 2584. Ho Qing-shan, who couldn't fight, was picked by Si Kongxiang. Si Kongxiang said in disbelief, "I advanced to the top 8 just like that." "Ha! I can't fight, so of course you advance." Ho Qing-shan patted Si Kongxiang's shoulder and said, "Looks like my efforts in the last round were worth it. Otherwise, Dong Fangli would have advanced to the top 8. You're probably not his match. If I admitted defeat a moment later, I would have been killed by him." Si Kongxiang nodded, then asked, "Senior brother Ho, what's your best result in the 7-sec tournament?" "The highest I've ever gotten was 9th. This is my 10th time participating in the tournament, and according to the rules, this will be my last. My final result will be this number." Ho Qing-shan sighed, then said with relief, "But this time, my Tianyun school has a high chance of getting first place in the group tournament. This will fulfill my dream. As for my individual results, I'll wait until I'm on the divine roll." Si Kongxiang thought for a moment after hearing Ho Qing-shan's words, then said, "Senior brother, this is my first time participating in the 7-sec tournament, so my results don't matter. I'll withdraw from our duel and let you enter the top 8. You defeated Dong Fangli, so you deserve to be in the top 8. No. If I advance, I won't be able to fight at all." Ho Qing-shan hurriedly declined. In his current state, even if he advanced to the top 8, he wouldn't be able to fight at all. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all on the same side. Let's not be calculative. Senior brother won't be able to fight, but it's the same for junior brother. How can there be anyone weaker than me in the top 8? Si Kongxiang shrugged. He was already satisfied to be in the top 16. "Senior apprentice brother, since Si Kongxiang has said so, then don't decline. You defeated Dong Fangli, so you deserve to be in the top 8. Mei Ruoxue also tried to persuade him. "Senior martial brother Ho, just agree. We've all seen what you've done for Tianyun School." Ho Qing-shan refused to nod, and even Night Sorrow tried to persuade her. "What am I supposed to do?" Ho Qing-shan's eyes reddened unconsciously after being comforted by the crowd. Entering the top 8 of the 7-sex tournament had always been his goal. However, due to the limitations of his sex strength, he had been suppressed every time. Senior brother, you don't have to be so polite. It's decided then." Si Kongxiang patted Ho Qing-shan's shoulder and continued, "I was just paying attention to my own signature. Who are your opponents?" "My luck is not bad. My opponent is the weakest of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, Qin Yun." Yan Zheng was the first to respond. Influenced by the others in the sect, especially after Night Sorrow's intimidation, he was no longer as arrogant as before. My opponent is Xianyuan Changye from Tianyuan School. I seem to be fated with Tianyuan School." At the mention of his opponent, Yi Shang had a helpless expression. Xianyuan Changye basically followed Wu Yu's lead and did not have the spirit of the top disciple of the sect at all. This left a bad impression on him. Faced with such an opponent, he would not show mercy at all. It was also the 3rd arena, and the opponent was also from Tianyuan School. Night Sorrow, who walked into the arena, could not help but think of Lin Guanyu, who had used the divine talisman on him, and secretly became wary. "Night Sorrow, Xianyuan Changye, am no match for you. However, I will help brother Wu Yu test your limits." Seeing Night Sorrow's figure appear in the arena, Xianyuan Changye, who had already heard that he was ranked 3rd on the God of Feathers list, immediately glared at him. Did Tianyuan School rely on Tianqin Gate, or did Xianyuan Changye rely on Wu Yu? Night Sorrow, who was standing in the arena, asked Xianyuan Changye in a non-committal manner. What do you know? My sect is helping Tianqing Gate in the God of Feathers list, while Tianqing Gate is helping Tianyuan School in the deity group. This is something that both sects have discussed long ago. I heard that you want to participate in the deity group competition. You will understand why I am doing this then. Xianyuan Changye had a look of disdain on his face, as he felt that Knight Sorrow did not know anything. In fact, the top expert in Tianyuan School's deity group was called Wu Li, who was Wu Yu's biological brother. Both of them were from the same family as Wu Axian, but they had joined Tianyuan School and Tianqing Gate respectively. If that's the case, make your move. Knight Sorrow wanted to end the battle quickly so that he could watch Yan Zhang's battle. He did not want to waste time talking to Xianyuan Changye, so he asked him to make his move immediately. All right. Xianyuan Changye knew that he was no match for Knight Sorrow, so he did not hold back. Instead, he took out a long sword from his spatial Dharma artifact. The hilt of the long sword was about the same length as the heavenly halberd of reincarnation. The blade was very short, but it gave off a cold glow. Its murderous intent was terrifying. Ice Dragon Sky Slashing Sword. After taking out the long sword, Xianyuan Changye immediately slashed at Knight Sorrow. This was one of his most powerful techniques. You are weaker than Yan Jifei. Knight Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, saw Xianyuan Changye's dozens of sword shadows slashing at him continuously. He did not choose to take the attack head-on, nor did he take out the heavenly halberd of reincarnation, which had been upgraded to a Sir God-level weapon. Instead, he used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to dodge the attacks calmly and hit Xianyuan Changye with his palm. This was the Void Reincarnation Palm that he had comprehended after watching the battle between Ho Qingshan and Dongfangli. The palm technique was mainly based on the reincarnation attribute, which was perfect when used together with the Void Extreme Shadow Body. His speed was completely above Xianyuan Changye's. At this moment, Xianyuan Changye had not completely stopped his attack, so he could not avoid it at all. He was hit hard in the chest. Boom! Xianyuan Changye, who was sent flying, flew out of the ring. Oh no! I will be eliminated if I fly out. Xianyuan Changye's body was hit by the palm. Although he was protected by the defensive robe, his chest caved in directly, which looked terrifying. However, he could not care less about the pain. He immediately gathered his divine essence to stop his body from flying backward. Finally, he slowly stopped at the edge of the ring. Fortunately, I am not eliminated directly. Otherwise, I would not be able to complete the task. After stabilizing his body, Xianyuan Changye secretly took out a talisman and imprinted it on his palm. The spectators who were watching the battle initially thought that it would be a clash of the strong and were looking forward to a fierce battle like the one between Ho Qingshan and Dongfangli. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had beaten Xianyuan Changye to such a state as soon as he attacked, they immediately exclaimed in shock. At this moment, the disciples of the Tianqing sect, including the disciples of the Tianqing sect, finally understood Yi Shang's strength. They even began to worry for Wuyo. Ahem. Yi Shang, don't think that I, Xianyuan Changye, will retreat just because you've succeeded in one strike. Let me tell you, this battle has only just begun. Xianyuan Changye, who was coughing out blood, gently stroked his chest with his palm that had a talisman attached to it. The injury on his chest soon recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Judge! If I'm not wrong, he is using a divine talisman to heal his injuries. Isn't that against the rules? Knight Sorrow had the eyes of the sea serpent, so he could naturally see through Xianyuan Changye's tricks. He spoke to the judge. During the 7-sect grand competition, divine artifacts could be used, but items such as pills and divine talismans were prohibited. Once they were used, they would be disqualified from the competition. In serious cases, they would be killed by the array like Lin Guanyu. However, after Knight Sorrow realized the problem, the judge said coldly. However, the referee said with a cold expression, Yi Shang, if you continue to slander your opponent, you will be disqualified from the competition. Okay. I understand. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately understood that the judge for today's competition was arranged by Tianqin Gate. Chapter 2585. Ha! You've heard me clearly. Then, you'll have to bear my wrath. Xianyuan Changye roared and struck again with the Ice Dragon Sky-Slashing Blade. It was the same move as the previous one, but the power was vastly different. Yao Shi had left the Tianxian school because of Night Sorrow, and Lin Guanyu had also died because of Night Sorrow. Hence, Xianyuan Changye resented Night Sorrow very much. Besides, he had the support of the sect master of Tianqin Gate and obtained special means. Hence, he was very confident. The power has changed. It seems that the talisman can not only heal injuries but also increase the strength of cultivators. Despite Night Sorrow's powerful strength, he dared not underestimate him and hence, took out the reincarnation heavenly halberd to fight against him. At this point, he no longer prayed for the referee to give a fair verdict. With the help of the Sea Serpent Eye, Night Sorrow could see the trajectory of the Ice Dragon Sky-Slashing Blade. He managed to block the attack without using any spear techniques. He then suppressed Xianyuan Changye again, leaving him with no chance to attack. Forbidden Spear. After taking out the reincarnation heavenly halberd, Night Sorrow regained the upper hand and found an opportunity to launch the Forbidden Spear. The spear seemed simple and ordinary, but in fact, it was filled with the aura of destruction. So what if it's a forbidden spear? I have a forbidden artifact too. Faced with the attack, Xianyuan Changye roared and cast a secret technique to increase his strength to the maximum and condense his divine essence. He took out a shield-shaped secret treasure with his left hand and activated it to block the forbidden spear. The shield was entwined with the power of thunder and lightning. Every time the lightning flashed, it would form a protective film on the surface of the shield. On the other hand, he controlled the long saber with his right hand and slashed it at Night Sorrow again. Compared to the previous two attacks, the power of this attack was increased again. His strength seems to be increasing continuously. I wonder how he's doing it. Faced with Xianyuan Changye's attack and defense, Night Sorrow, who was wary of Xianyuan Changye, did not change the trajectory of the forbidden spear. Instead, he used the reincarnation heavenly halberd to stab the shield that was glowing with lightning. On the other hand, he cast the divine essence dragon-locking array and temporarily blocked Xianyuan Changye's attack. Boom! The moment the heavenly samsara halberd pierced the shield, there was an earth-shattering boom in the arena. The spectators couldn't help but cry out in surprise. When the light from the collision disappeared, they saw that Xianyuan Changye's defensive shield had already been shattered. As the owner of the shield, he was also sent flying. It was even worse than when he was hit by Night Sorrow's void samsara palm. The defensive robe on his body was already damaged beyond recognition. The blow that Xianyuan Changye threw out with his long saber naturally dissipated. After fusing with the Divine King's Heavenly Marshal's Soul Battle Spear, the Heavenly Samsara Halberd's power was close to that of a King-grade Divine Artifact even though it had only become a Divine Lord-grade Divine Artifact. If not for Night Sorrow's Divine Essence energy being exceedingly vast, he would most likely be drained dry with a single attack. You are indeed very strong, but not strong enough to kill me. I will slowly find an opportunity to kill you. Xianyuan Changye, whose power had been increasing, smirked coldly. The injuries on his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Feeling the surge of divine essence energy in his body, he, who had only wanted to help Wu Yu test out Night Sorrow's power, felt that he had a chance to turn the tables. Could it be a Divine King-grade Divine Talisman or a Divine King-grade Elixir Pill? Xianyuan Changye's condition was very strange. Night Sorrow couldn't figure out what was going on, but he definitely couldn't let it go on like this. Although his divine essence energy was vast, there would eventually be a limit. However, Xianyuan Changya's power seemed to increase every time he recovered. Moreover, his divine essence energy would also increase. Night Sorrow, who couldn't figure out the reason, could vaguely feel the immense pressure. While he despised Xianyuan Changya, a strong killing intent rose in his heart. Although Xianyuan Changya's method was despicable, the effect was indeed very powerful. He couldn't delay it any longer. How is it? Are you afraid? It won't be long before my strength completely surpasses yours. You will definitely lose today. Xianyuan Changya mocked Night Sorrow with a maniacal smile on his face. In fact, the process of speaking was also a way to delay. He felt that as long as he continued to delay, he would have a chance to turn the tables on Night Sorrow. That reminds me. It seems that I have to kill a bunch of despicable and shameless people like you in one blow. Originally, you were going to lose to me, but you just had to court death. Night Sorrow's face gradually turned cold. He knew that things were just like what Xianyuan Changya had said. If he continued to delay, he would very likely lose. At the moment, the best way was to kill him in one blow. He performed the Traystrumsa battle mystic technique and increased his power tenfold. He waved his hand and struck out with the reincarnation strike. This strike pierced through time and space so quickly that Xianyuan Changya couldn't dodge it. What's going on? Xianyuan Changya, who was still provoking Night Sorrow a moment ago, was just about to dodge his strongest attack when he was trapped by the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. His expression changed immediately. Xianyuan Changya could clearly sense the impending danger, but he couldn't break through the shackles of the Divine Essence Dragon Lock Array. In a moment, the heavenly halberd of reincarnation plunged down from the sky. Boom! In an instant, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Xianyuan Changya, who was still provoking Night Sorrow, had his dantian shattered. His divine soul wanted to escape, but it was destroyed by Night Sorrow's heavenly halberd of reincarnation. Xianyuan Changya's divine soul was destroyed before he even had the chance to beg for mercy. At the same time, a divine talisman that was emitting golden light flew out of his body. Is this the divine talisman that's causing trouble? Stay here. Night Sorrow waved his hand and immediately grabbed the divine talisman that was trying to fly away. After he did that, the spectators finally understood what had happened. Xianyuan Changya, who was ranked 6th on the God of Feathers list, was actually killed by Night Sorrow in one blow. Damn it! Even that can't stop you. Seeing that Xianyuan Changya had been killed by Night Sorrow, the sect master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng's face immediately grew sullen. The sect master of Tianxian School didn't attend the Battle of the God of Feathers group during the 7-sect tournament. He would only be there when the Battle of the God of Feathers group began. Now that 2 disciples of Tianxian School had died and one of them had quit, it would be difficult for him to answer to the sect master of Tianxian School. However, even though Tan Qingfeng was upset, he couldn't bear to let Night Sorrow get his hands on the Divine King-level Divine Talisman. He immediately said coldly, "Night Sorrow, return the Divine Talisman to me immediately. Otherwise, you'll be crippled tonight. Return the Divine Talisman to you so that you can give it to Wuyo to continue dealing with me." Tan Qingfeng, let me tell you, I'd rather use this Divine Talisman as a shoe pad than return it to you. Tan Qingfeng had already resorted to unscrupulous means in order to deal with him. How could Night Sorrow be willing to return it? Hence, he retorted in disdain. Chapter 2586. It seems that you don't even care about your face anymore. Then we have nothing to say. After sending another message to Tan Qingfeng, Night Sorrow and Lu Qingyuan went to watch Yan Zhang's battle together. In this battle, Yan Zheng's opponent was Heavenly Star Pavilion's Qin Yun. She wasn't very strong and he had been taking the initiative, so it was only a matter of time before he advanced. After watching for a while, Lu Qingyuan saw that Night Sorrow's face didn't look too good, so he immediately asked with concern, "Night Sorrow, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Tan Qingfeng threatened me and said that he would attack me tonight." Night Sorrow told him about Tan Qingfeng's threat. Lu Qingyuan had been watching the battle just now, so he knew that Xianyuan Changya had used the divine talisman. When Night Sorrow mentioned it casually, he understood what was going on. This is blatantly despicable and shameless. We can't just sit and wait for death. Lu Qingyuan sighed, then sent a message to the divine king Zhuang Qing in the space artifact. "Elder Zhuang, how do you think we should solve this matter? If Tan Qingfeng personally attacked, I'm afraid I can't stop him. If he sends someone else, then there's still a chance. Moreover, we can use this matter to publicize his evil deeds. Let Night Sorrow come in later, we'll discuss countermeasures." The divine king Zhuang Qing had been in Lu Qingyuan's space artifact this whole time, so he was very angry when he saw how Tianyun School was treated. But he needed to hide and wait to deal with Soaring Heaven Sect, so he could only suppress his anger. "Yes, Elder Zhuang." Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan nodded. Night Sorrow said, "Elder Zhuang wants to talk to you about countermeasures. Although Tan Qingfeng's character isn't good, he's very strong and not easy to deal with. We can't be careless about this matter. This matter is a crisis, but it's also an opportunity. If we use it well, we can publicize Tan Qingfeng's dirty deeds to the world." With the divine king Zhuang Qing and many elders hiding in the dark, Night Sorrow was confident in his own safety. Moreover, he felt that Tan Qingfeng wouldn't do it himself. As long as he didn't personally, even if he sent the divine king's strength, it wouldn't be much of a threat. "Thank you. I didn't control my strength, please forgive me." At this moment, Yanjing successfully defeated Qin Yun. He helped Qin Yun up and at the same time apologized for using too much strength. After all, he's Zhuang's Yanz's as a cultivator, it was unavoidable to be injured in a duel. "I'd like to congratulate the Tianyun clan in advance for winning the Divine Feather Division." A trace of a smile appeared on Qin Yun's pale face. After today's competition, a total of 3 people from Tianyun School had advanced to the top 8. No matter what the results of the competition were in the future, Tianyun School would be the sect champion. Only the individual champion was left to be determined. "Thank you, Junior. Sister Chen." Yan Zhuang Qing wanted to thank Sister Chen, but he felt that it was impolite to address a woman as an elder, so he changed it to Sister Chen. "Haha. You're quite interesting." Qin Yun smiled, waved, and left with the people from the Starry Sky Pavilion. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Lu Qingyuan walked to Yan Zhuang Qing and congratulated him for advancing to the top 8. His strength should be between the 10th and 15th place on the God of Feathers list. Luck played a part in his advancement. I agree with Si Kongxiang's words. Anyone who interacts with Brother Night Sorrow will be lucky. Yan Zhuang Qing smiled. In his opinion, strength was the most important thing among the disciples. Calling Night Sorrow brother wasn't inappropriate. If he hadn't picked Qin Yun, he would have definitely been eliminated. Because the other winners were Tianqing Gates Wu Yu, Heavenly Celestial Gates Shang Su Yan, Heavenly Martial Pavilions Yan Jifei, Heavenly Star Pavilions Ao Qingsong, and Soaring Heaven Sects Wen Tianhe. These people were the top 5 on the God of Feathers list before Night Sorrow appeared. They were definitely strong and weren't people he could deal with. Haha. Yan Zhuang Qing, you're too humble. In my opinion, you'll soon become one of the top 10 masters on the God of Feathers list. Lu Qingyuan smiled. He knew that Night Sorrow and the others would soon choose to break through to the High God realm. When that happened, there would be many empty spots on the God of Feathers list. Night Sorrow said politely to Yan Zhuangqing. He wasn't used to being called brother. After that, the three of them met up with the others and prepared to return to the encampment. Something might happen tonight. Night Sorrow didn't want to involve the people from the Heavenly Star Pavilion, so he didn't look for them. However, just as the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle left the mountain where the competition was held, it encountered the flying artifact of the Heavenly Celestial Gate. Seeing the people from the Tianyun school, Shang Su Yen smiled and greeted Night Sorrow. She then transmitted her voice, "Brother Yi, I heard that you obtained something good in the arena. Can you give it to me?" "Give it to you? What do you mean?" Night Sorrow was obviously surprised. Shang Su Yen was too direct. Last time, she asked him to go easy on him in the competition. This time, she directly asked for a king-grade divine talisman. "You can't keep this divine talisman. Why don't you give it to me? I can give you a life-saving talisman. My life-saving talisman is very precious. I only have 9 of them. Giving you one is equivalent to losing one of my lives." Shang Su Yan's face showed a trace of confidence. She felt that her life-saving talisman was no worse than a king-grade divine talisman. "Okay. I agree to give it to you. However, with this matter and the competition, I've already cleared my debt to you." After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow replied to Shang Su Yen. He was afraid that she would run out of fun and ask for something good whenever she met him. "You're quite interesting. How can I rely on you?" Shang Su Yen received Night Sorrow's transmission and flew to the Heavenly Cloud Shuttle to make a deal with Night Sorrow. She saw the two of them exchanging things. Si Kongxiang smiled and teased, "When did the two of you become so familiar? Are you exchanging tokens?" Hearing this, the people from the Tianyun school and the Heavenly Celestial Gate all roared with laughter. "What are you guys doing? Do you believe that I won't teach you guys a lesson when we get back?" Although Shang Su Yen was natural and unrestrained, she still blushed after being teased by dozens of people. She immediately returned to the Heavenly Celestial Gate's flying artifact. Night Sorrow, who had received the divine talisman, was a little surprised. He realized that the divine talisman in his hand seemed to have a stronger aura than the king-grade divine talisman. However, he didn't know how to activate it or what it did. "Grand Elder Zhuang, can you tell what this divine talisman does?" Night Sorrow and the others from the Tianyun school chatted for a while before entering Lu Qiangyuan's spatial artifact to meet the divine King Zhuangqing. "This seems to be the aura of a sovereign." The divine King Zhuangqing took the divine talisman and glanced at it. He then handed it to Night Sorrow and said, "This is your karma. Take it back." He didn't want to have any misunderstandings with a sovereign. Sovereign? Does Shang Su Yen really know Sovereign Qin Yin? Chapter 2587. Although the Tianqing Gate was huge, Night Sorrow and the others were able to return quickly with the help of the Skycloud Shuttle. Night Sorrow, Zhuangqing, and the Divine King discussed their strategy. They began to set up a trap array around the Tianyun school's camp. He had set up this array for Lu Qingyuan and the others before. Night Sorrow took out the Crimson Golden Dragon insignia from Wen Jingping and used it as the core of the array. The trapping array setup might not have much of an effect on godly monarchs, but a godly lord would definitely become a turtle in a jar. Even a divine lord like Lu Qingyuan would be greatly affected. All right. Everything is set up. Half of the Tianyun school's forces are here. We should be able to resist the Tianqing Gate. Night Sorrow finished setting up the array and said, "Now that the array is set up, let's celebrate today's victory. With 3 people in the top 8, I believe that the champion of the Feather God group will be our Tianyun school. Yes. We'll deal with whatever comes our way." We've prepared everything. Now, let's drink and celebrate. Lu Qingyuan ordered the accompanying cooks to prepare food and wine while the others gathered in the courtyard. They set up the tables and chairs and prepared to celebrate in the open air. The Tianyun school's victory in the 7-sect tournament could be traced back to Mu Baiyu's era. He was already one of the best divine lords. Today's victory had to be celebrated no matter what. First of all, I would like to thank the 6 disciples of the Feather God group. It was because of you that our Tianyun school was able to take first place in the Feather God group tournament. Let me give you a toast. After the wine and dishes were prepared, Lu Qingyuan, who was leading the team, raised his glass and said, Elder Lu, I'm the same as Yunting Fei. We're all riding on the coattails of victory. Let's toast to Night Sorrow, Yan Zheng, Senior Ho, and Si Kongxiang. Mei Ruoshua smiled and raised her cup. It's all the same. To all of you. Also, the disciples of the High Gods group, you have to work hard too. Lu Qiangyuan drank the wine and looked at Mu Qingyu. Mu Qingyu, you're Mu Baiyu's younger brother. You've always lived in his shadow. I know this, but you have your own life. This sect tournament is your chance to prove yourself. With Night Sorrow here, you have to make the most of it. Elder, I'll do my best. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to lead the team to the first place, but this time, even if I have to risk my life, I won't let the Tianyun clan be at the bottom again. Senior brother Qingyu, once the competition is over, I'll choose to break through to the paramount god level. I'll help you then. Mu Qingyu's Divine King of Feather God Group was the Feather God Group's results. Although he definitely wouldn't be as strong as the Divine Feather Clan after breaking through, he definitely wouldn't be too weak, and he was confident that he could help the Tianyun clan get rid of the embarrassment of being at the bottom. With Mu Qingyu's words, I can rest assured. Mu Qingyu nodded at Yishang and raised his cup in a toast. Let's do our best. Night Sorrow said to Mu Qingyu before looking at Yan Zheng and Ho Qingshan. We've already won the sect tournament. We still have to work hard for our individual results. Here's to you. You'll definitely be first in the individual results. Ho Qingshan smiled. I'm already satisfied with being in the top 8. It's my first time participating in the 7-sect grand competition, and I'm already satisfied to be able to enter the top 8. Yan Zheng's face revealed a rare smile. Mei Ruoshua, who was good at singing and dancing, took out her zither and played a song. The atmosphere became even more lively. Unknowingly, 6 to 8 hours had passed. It was already midnight, and the sky was completely dark. Everyone pretended to return to their rooms, but they were all on high alert. Especially Zhuang Qing, the Divine King, and the others in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact. They were all ready to attack. They're here. There's a total of 7 people. A Divine King and 6 Sir Gods, but I can't determine their cultivation level. After about 2 hours, Night Sorrow transmitted a message to everyone. He had discovered 7 people in black through the array he had set up. Stay calm. As long as it's not the Divine King, everything will be fine. Zhuang Qing, the Divine King, who had already come out of Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. As for the disciples below the Sir God realm, except for Night Sorrow, they had all been kept in the spatial artifact. They're here. Night Sorrow continued to remind everyone. At this moment, Zhuang Qing, the Divine King, asked, Is the image crystal set up? It's set up very secretly. It shouldn't be discovered. Night Sorrow nodded in response. At this moment, the Divine King, who had barged into the courtyard, said coldly, People of Tianyun School, hand over Night Sorrow. Otherwise, I, the Divine King, will kill all of you. Who are you? Do you really think the Tianyun School is easy to bully? Lu Qingyuan was the first to step forward. You can't stop me. Hurry up and hand over Yishang. Otherwise, everyone here today will die. The masked, black-clothed divine king threatened with killing intent. Grand Supreme Zhuang, what's his cultivation level? At this moment, Knight Sorrow, who was beside Zhuang Qing, asked. Zhuang Qing, the divine king, said with a relaxed expression, don't worry. He's just a low-level divine king, so he should be weaker than me. These shrimps won't be able to do anything. You were sent by the gate master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, to deal with me. Knight Sorrow slowly walked out of the room. In terms of strength, he had the upper hand, and with the support of the trapping array, the other party was like a turtle in a jar. Yes, so what? So what if I'm not? Today, your cultivation will definitely be crippled. Hurry up and hand over the divine talisman, and I, the divine king, will spare you some pain. The masked, black-clothed divine king didn't know that the divine king was in Tianyun school. He continued to threaten. Lin Pingce, so it's you. Your Tianqing Gate sent the divine king to deal with my Tianyun school's feather god. Can you be any more shameless? After discovering the identity of the newcomer, the divine king, Zhuang Qing, came out of the room, no longer concealing his aura. Zhuang Qing. I didn't expect you to come too. Seeing Zhuang Qing come out of the room, Lin Pingce didn't panic at all. He sneered. Zhuang Qing, don't forget where you are now. If you dare to stop me from destroying his cultivation today, you will never be able to go back to Tianyun school. How arrogant. It doesn't matter if I go back or not. Today, I will take you down first, you shameless bastard. As a godly king, Zhuang Qing was infuriated at being threatened in such a manner. He shouted, attack. The number of masters from Tianqing Gate was limited. The Cloud Sky sect didn't let Lu Qingyuan's Space Dharma artifact show up. Zhuang Qing took Knight Sorrow, Lu Qingyuan, and 10 other law-enforcing elders to fight with the other party. Zhuang Qing, how dare you? Don't forget that your Tianyun school's gate master is missing. No one can resist Gate Master Tan's power anymore. Seeing Zhuang Qing attack, Lin Pingce immediately frowned. He was afraid that if things got out of hand, it would alert the other sections. Although Tianqing Gate was shameless enough, he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Is this why you bully my Tianyun school? Zhuang Qing asked coldly. Then he said firmly, do it. Okay. Chapter 2588. Grand Elder Zhuang, the trapping array has been activated. The senior immortals will be suppressed by at least 30 to 40% and their speed will be halved. Knight Sorrow reminded Zhuang Qing and the divine king of the trapping array. Hearing the news, the divine king of Zhuang Qing praised, great. Today's battle will be a piece of cake for us. At the same time, he attacked the divine king of Tianqing Gate, Lin Pingce. Let's take down their senior immortals. Lu Qingyuan shouted and led 10 deacon elders to attack the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate. Under the suppression of Knight Sorrow's trapping array, the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate soon realized that something was wrong. Liang Junhua, an elder of Tianqing Gate, immediately shouted, Grand Elder Lin. Not good. There is a trapping array here. Our strength is severely suppressed. In fact, he was trying to tell Lin Pingce that they were no match for him. However, he couldn't say that in front of the Tianyun school. I have sensed it. Don't be afraid. This is Tianqing Gate. Our backup will be here soon. Lin Pingce, who was as strong as Zhuang Qing, was fighting with all his strength. He couldn't take care of Liang Junhua and the others, but he crushed a soul crystal in his hand. Tianqing Gate is so shameless. Qingyuan, end this quickly and take all of them as hostages. Also, send someone to inform the other sects and let them see the true colors of Tianqing Gate. Seeing Lin Pingce crush the soul crystal, the divine king of Zhuangqing frowned. They were in Tianqing Gate now. If another divine king came, things would be very troublesome. Night Sorrow, inform the Starry Sky Pavilion and the Tianxian sect. If their people appeared, the Clear Sky Society would definitely have scruples. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to solve today's crisis. Lu Qingyuan immediately transmitted his voice. He knew that Night Sorrow had a good relationship with these two sections. As for Tianxian School, Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Soaring Heaven Sect, and Tianqing Gate, there was no need to inform them. Elder Lu, I think that since they've decided to make a move, they must have isolated the area we're in. It's impossible for them to notify the other sections. What we need to do now is to capture the people from Tianqing Gate and use them to threaten them. Night Sorrow said. Tianqing Gate was very strong, but in terms of background, the Divine King should not have many. If they could take down Lin Pingce and the 6 Divine Monarch-level elders, then the matter would be easily resolved. If he rashly went out to report, it was very likely that he would be caught immediately. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yes. What you said makes sense. It's this elder who didn't consider it thoroughly. But the Divine King is not easy to capture. We have to control the other party's divine monarchs. Lu Qingyuan replied to Night Sorrow, then used a secret technique to increase his strength and continued to fight with the Tianqing Gate elders. How come the other party's strength has been weakened so much? My sect's elders can't take them down quickly. However, after watching for a while, Night Sorrow knew that the situation was not good. The Tianyun School's law enforcement elders seemed to be weaker than the other party. They could only suppress the other party in the confinement array, but it would be difficult to capture them quickly. As for the elders in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, it involved the problem of returning home and the stability of the Tianyun School's rear. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they could not be exposed. Got it. Although there's a gap in strength between me and these half-step Divine King, I can still see the difference in strength. But I can use the Eye of the Mirage Dragon to warn the other elders. Night Sorrow, who was observing the battle, activated the Eye of the Mirage Dragon and paid attention to the Tianqing Gate elders' moves. Then, he sent a message to the Tianyun School's law enforcement elders. Under his command, the Tianyun School's elders' combat strength increased by a large margin. Soon, they captured 3 of the other party's elders alive. Although the remaining 3 Tianqing Gate elders were still resisting, they were already at the end of their rope. Night Sorrow. You're really a peerless genius. After controlling the battle of the Divine Monarchs, Lu Qingyuan immediately sent a message to Night Sorrow and praised him. Of course, he could not shout and expose Night Sorrow's ability. Oh no. I can't watch the battle anymore. Otherwise, I might break through to the High God stage immediately. If I do, no one will be able to suppress Wu Yu in the 7 Sects tournament. At this time, Night Sorrow sent a message to Lu Qingyuan. He found that his understanding of Tao had increased rapidly after watching the battle of the half-step Divine King. If he continued watching, he would immediately face the Divine Tribulation. Don't worry. Now that we have the situation under control, you just need to stay aside and hide. Lu Qingyuan, who had already captured 6 of the other party's elders, said with a hint of confidence. It seemed that after Night Sorrow's appearance, everything in the Tianyun School had been going smoothly. At this moment, the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingce had reached its climax. The 2 of them were evenly matched. The momentum of their battle was completely incomparable to that of a divine monarch. Elder Lu, what should we do? Should we lend a hand? Elder Mei of the Tianyun School asked worriedly. Seeing that the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingce was very intense and neither of them could do anything to the other, Elder Mei of the Tianyun school asked. Help. Although facing the real Divine King, we won't be able to do anything if we attack him one by one. However, a large number of ants can kill an elephant. I don't believe that a dozen of us won't be able to do anything to him. The 6 divine monarch elders of the Tianqing Gate were imprisoned in the spatial Dharma artifact. Lu Qingyuan shouted, "Everyone, take out your best skills. Use all your divine weapons and secret arts on Lin Pingce." Okay. We will do our best. Elder Mei and the others began to take elixirs that could temporarily increase their strength after hearing the order. They also used their secret arts and began to bombard Lin Pingce in the battle. Even Knight Sorrow, who had been watching the battle from the sidelines, took out his Samsara halberd and used the 33 Heavens battle secret art. He unleashed Inferno Demon subduing Lin Pingce, enveloping him in flames. Everyone from the Tianyun school knew that if they couldn't take down Lin Pingce before the reinforcements from the Tianqing Gate arrived, they would have less bargaining chips to negotiate with the other party. Given Tan Qingfeng's personality, he would definitely think that Knight Sorrow was more valuable than the 6 divine monarch elders. He might not even care about their lives. Zhuang Qing. I didn't expect the Tianyun school to be so shameless. More than a dozen people are attacking the Divine King together. Lin Pingce, who had been suppressed in an instant, cursed furiously. If Zhuang Qing hadn't been holding him back, he would have been able to kill a divine monarch in one move. However, he couldn't care less now. He could only take the attacks of the divine monarchs head-on. Although these attacks weren't fatal, they made him feel very uncomfortable. You are the shameless ones. As the saying goes, a visitor is a guest. The Tianqing Gate arranged for the Tianyun school to suffer in such a humiliating courtyard. You even launched a series of sneak attacks. Is this what a human being would do? From the gate master to the disciples of the Tianqing Gate, you are all beasts. We, the Tianyun clan, will not show you any respect. Zhuang Qing, who had suppressed Lin Pingce, had already started to use his secret arts to raise his strength to its peak. Chapter 2589. Ha ha ha. The sect leader will be here soon. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. Lin Pingce calmed down when he heard the sound of wind, which proved that the people of Tianqing Gate were very close. He felt that he could hold on for a while. At this time, the Divine King of Zhuang Qing and the others all looked serious. It was too difficult to take down the Divine King in a few seconds. However, if they couldn't take down Lin Pingce, things would be difficult when the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, arrived. By now, everyone could already see that the people of the Clear Sky Gate did not have any sense of propriety, justice, integrity, or honor. They would do anything that was out of line. Elders, burn your blood essence and take him down. At this time, Knight Sorrow suddenly started to burn his blood essence. He used the body-forging formula that he hadn't used for a long time to increase his strength to the maximum. He took out the red golden dragon seal from the trapping formation and threw it at Lin Pingce. At the same time, he used the Divine Origin Dragon Lock spell. Yes. Elders of the Tianyun clan, listen up, burn your blood essence and swear to take down Lin Pingce within 3 breaths. After Knight Sorrow shouted, the Divine King of Zhuang Qing was shocked. This little guy was so decisive. He would definitely become a great person in the future. As the Grand Elder of Tianyun School, the Divine King of Zhuang Qing was naturally experienced. Without any hesitation, he burned his blood essence and took a desperate stance. Take down Lin Pingce. The other elders of the Tianyun clan followed suit and shouted. Their shouts were earth-shattering. If it weren't for the concealment formation of Tianqing Gate, the people of other sects would have heard them. Damn it. Why do the people of Tianyun School seem different? Lin Pingce panicked when he saw so many people burning their blood essence at the same time for him. At this moment, he was somewhat blaming his sect's informants. If he had known that the Divine King had come to Tianyun School, he would definitely have brought more helpers and wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. Without hesitation, Lin Pingce roared, "Don't think that only Tianyun School's people are willing to risk their lives. I, Lin Pingce, the Divine King of this generation, am not a pushover." Roaring, he began to burn the Divine King's blood essence and went all out. Red Golden Dragon Rune, Self-Destruct. Knight Sorrow's eyes had already turned red from killing. He knew that time waited for no one. If he couldn't take down Lin Pingce within a few breaths of time, then this matter wouldn't be easy to resolve. He made a prompt decision and made the Crimson Golden Dragon Rune self-destruct to deal a blow to his opponent. Good idea. Phoenix Blood Essence Gold Sword, self-destruct. At the critical moment, seeing that Knight Sorrow had chosen to detonate the divine weapon, the Divine King of Zhuangqing made up his mind and detonated the long sword that had accompanied him for several reincarnations. Damn it. Tianyun School's people are all F***king lunatics. Lin Pingce cursed loudly. How could he have imagined that Zhuangqing would be so decisive as to detonate the divine weapon that he had carried with him for so many years? Lin Pingce, who hadn't reacted in time, was immediately hit and seriously injured. Lin Pingce, let's see how you resist. After seriously injuring Lin Pingce, Zhuangqing roared, his aura as shocking as a dragon. At the same time, the other elders of Tianyun School also went all out and detonated their divine weapons one after another. After being bombarded by them, there was no way Lin Pingce wouldn't lose. Soon, he was under Zhuangqing's control. Very good. I am very gratified by everyone's cohesiveness today. Especially Knight Sorrow, who made a prompt decision and reacted more decisively than I, the Divine King of Zhuangqing. He deserves to be praised. After getting Lin Pingce under control, the Divine King of Zhuangqing heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Tianyun School now had a bargaining chip to negotiate with Tianqing Gate. Although Tianqing Gate was very powerful now, the Divine King of Tianqing Gate was definitely an important figure in the sect. They couldn't abandon him. Divine King Zhuang, you flatter me. Knight Sorrow just did what he should. After all, this happened because of me. If I didn't do something, I would feel uneasy. Knight Sorrow replied humbly. Very good. You are neither arrogant nor rash. You are a man who will achieve great things. The Divine King of Zhuangqing praised. Suddenly, he shouted, Friends from Tianqing Gate, since you are here, show yourself. Zhuangqing, I didn't expect you to leave Tianyun School and come to Tianqing Gate. The first person to arrive at Tianqing Gate was the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng. He was still a little late. Lin Pingce had already been captured, which put them in a passive position. Let's cut the crap. The Divine King of Zhuangqing shouted coldly. Now that Lin Pingce is in my hands, if you do anything, I will kill him without hesitation. I can choose not to do anything, but Knight Sorrow must return the divine talisman that he took from Xinyuan Changye. Tan Qingfeng, who was floating in the air, was full of murderous intent. His aura was even more terrifying than the Divine King of Zhuangqing. Why should I give you the spoils of war that I obtained from the battle? Suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, Knight Sorrow found it difficult to speak. However, he still shouted. Do you know who refined that thing? How dare an ant like you take it for yourself? Tan Qingfeng stared at Knight Sorrow with a murderous look as he said this word by word. No matter whose thing it is, since it was used to harm me, don't even think about taking it back. Knight Sorrow, who was suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, found it difficult to breathe. However, he still responded loudly. Bastard! I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you just because you have Grand Elder Lin under control? Tan Qingfeng roared angrily when he saw that the Grand Elder had been captured. He said coldly, that thing was refined by the Dark Moon ruler. Do you think the Tianyun school can take it? Tan Qingfeng, don't forget that the Tianyun school graduated from the Tianyun school. Aren't you afraid that he will be angry if you use the Dark Moon ruler to threaten the Tianyun school? Zhuangqing's divine king shouted angrily when he heard Tan Qingfeng's words. The legend of the Tianyun school named Jin Yi was the current #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyun school. The Tianyun school is very strong, but he has long since established his own faction. Why would he bother with trash like you? Otherwise, why wouldn't he appear when the Tianyun school is being suppressed to this extent? Tan Qingfeng sneered. As for the Dark Moon ruler's illusory crystal, I have one here. Although your sects are trash, you haven't gone too far. The Tianyun school isn't going to invite the Tianyun school over. Zhuangqing glared. When he mentioned the Tianyun school's legend of the Tianyun school, his face was full of reverence. So the legend of Jin Yi is the #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyun school. Knight Sorrow was shocked when he heard the divine king's words. He hadn't expected this at all. Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others in the spatial artifact were also shocked. Humph. It's your problem if you don't invite him. Let's see how you deal with the Dark Moon ruler today. Tan Qingfeng sneered and crushed the sovereign crystal in his hand. Chapter 2590. A ruler couldn't be offended. This was a truth that everyone in the God realm knew. After summoning the projection of the Dark Moon ruler, Tan Qingfeng smiled proudly. He bowed and said, Lord Ruler, the divine talisman you created is in the hands of Tianyun School's Knight Sorrow. Who is Knight Sorrow? The face of the summoned sovereign phantom could not be seen clearly. One could only barely make out its silhouette, but it gave off a powerful pressure. I am Knight Sorrow. The projection of the Dark Moon ruler didn't release his divine domain, so Knight Sorrow opened his mouth to reply. The expressions of the other Tianyun school members all changed. In front of a ruler, there was nothing they could do, let alone having Lin Pingce as a hostage. Even the divine king Zhuangqing had no choice but to lower his head. Hand over the divine talisman I created, the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. The projection of the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. His voice wasn't particularly loud, but it was deafening to Knight Sorrow's ears. However, Knight Sorrow clenched his teeth and said stubbornly, Why should I hand over the spoils of war I obtained through battle? Because I'm a ruler. Isn't that enough? A murderous look appeared on the Dark Moon ruler's face. The faces of the Tianyun school members all changed. The divine king Zhuangqing hurriedly tried to persuade Knight Sorrow. A ruler can't be offended. Hand over the divine talisman. You must know that steel breaks easily. He was afraid that the projection would kill Knight Sorrow in a fit of rage. If that happened, the Tianyun school would lose a peerless genius. Does a ruler who transcends all living things think he can be so unreasonable? Faced with the threat of the Dark Moon ruler and the divine king Zhuangqing's persuasion, Knight Sorrow's brows revealed a trace of defiance. When he'd first arrived in the God realm, he'd made a concession for the safety of his family. After that, he'd vowed that no matter what kind of existence he faced, as long as they weren't reasonable, he wouldn't yield. And this ruler admires your courage. However, the sovereign is not to be offended. You are unyielding in front of me. There was only one outcome, and that was the complete annihilation of their souls. Die. All of a sudden, the illusory figure of Ruler Dark Moon gathered his divine origin energy and sent a palm strike at Knight Sorrow. This palm was a Dominator-level attack. Everyone from the Tianyun school was shocked. They knew that they couldn't stop this attack. A mighty sovereign actually dared to attack a mere feather god. Dark Moon, don't you feel ashamed? At this moment, the divine talisman in Night Sorrow's hand was suddenly activated and transformed into the master of sound playing the zither. Faced with the palm strike of Hegemon Dark Moon, Hegemon Clear Sound's illusory figure countered with a zither, successfully neutralizing the attack. Hegemon Clear Sound, what is the meaning of this? You want to stop me for an ant? The voice of the Dark Moon ruler's phantom dropped to the freezing point. Although he was only a phantom, he represented the face of the Dark Moon ruler. He was furious that he hadn't been able to kill a feather god with one strike. I will save his life. Hegemon Clear Sound's voice was somewhat ethereal, but her words were filled with dominance. Damn it! How can an ant like him be favored by Hegemon Clear Sound? Upon seeing Hegemon Clear Sound appear, Tan Qingfeng's expression was the same as the Tianyun school's. The Dark Moon ruler's phantom was just as angry. He snorted coldly. You can save his life, but you must make him hand over the talisman I refined. The talisman you refined is in my hands. If you want it back, find my true body and fight it out. Although Hegemon Clear Sound was a woman, she was extremely domineering in front of the Dark Moon ruler. As expected of a sovereign. This is a true example of a woman not losing out to a man. Within his spatial artifact, Si Kongxiang was on the verge of tears when he saw how domineering Hegemon Clear Sound was. Mei Ruoshue's eyes were also filled with reverence. When the Dark Moon ruler's phantom had appeared, their hearts had been in their throats for Night Sorrow. They hadn't expected Hegemon Clear Sound to appear, and the Dark Moon ruler's aura immediately weakened. Good, very good. It seems you want to keep protecting him. There will be a battle between you and me. The Dark Moon ruler didn't have the confidence to win against Hegemon Clear Sound. He scolded her coldly, then disappeared in a flash. If there's going to be a battle, why are you leaving? After the Dark Moon ruler's phantom left, Hegemon Clear Sound's phantom continued to pluck the strings of her zither, sending out multiple sound waves into the air. Tan Qingfeng of Tianqing Gate didn't even dare to breathe loudly when he saw this scene. He was afraid that Hegemon Clear Sound would settle accounts with him for Night Sorrow. Those who have nothing to do with this, disperse. After the Dark Moon ruler's phantom disappeared, Hegemon Clear Sound ordered Tan Qingfeng and the others to retreat. She looked at Night Sorrow and said, "You have outstanding talent and are neither servile nor overbearing. In the future, you will definitely become a dragon among men. My appearance today means that Tianqing Gate's crisis has been resolved. You can participate in the 7-sect tournament in peace. Thank you for saving my life, Hegemon Clear Sound." Night Sorrow wanted to bow and thank her for saving his life. Hegemon Clear Sound stopped him. There's no need for that. Just remember this kindness. After saying that, her figure disappeared into the void of space. After she left, everyone felt their breathing become much easier. The might of a Hegemon made it difficult for them to calm down. Elder Zhuang, the crisis has been resolved. How do you think we should deal with Lin Pingce? After Hegemon Clear Sound left, Lu Qingyuan immediately asked the Divine King of Zhuangqing. Night Sorrow, how do you think we should deal with them? The Divine King of Zhuangqing didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked at Night Sorrow. He could tell that even the lofty Hegemon Clear Sound didn't treat Night Sorrow as a junior. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stopped him from bowing. This was a very clear problem. I think they can avoid death, but they can't escape punishment. Leave behind everything they have and let them go. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow replied. At this time, everyone else in Tianyun school was extremely excited because of the Hegemon's appearance. Only Night Sorrow calmed down completely after a moment of excitement. The hegemon's strength was also achieved step by step. What he needed to do was take it one step at a time. Okay. Then we'll deal with it that way. After the divine king of Zhuangqing sought Knight Soro's opinion, he nodded and agreed. When the sky brightened, he indeed left behind everything on Lin Pingce and the others, then let them go. However, he left them very thoroughly. Everyone was stripped naked, down to their underwear, and left Tianyun School's encampment naked. One by one, they used their strongest movement techniques and left as fast as they could. Ha! Awesome! I'm sure after this incident, Tianqing Gate won't dare to scheme against us again. The next day, Lu Qingyuan said in a carefree mood during dinner. Hegemon clear sound is truly peerless. Si Kongxiang, who had eaten a mouthful of porridge, couldn't help but praise. Everyone else chimed in and began to discuss. At this moment, Knight Soro reminded everyone, let's not talk about the hegemon too much, lest we say the wrong thing and be tainted by karma. That makes sense. Then let's prepare for the next round of the Feather God Group Tournament. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Qingyuan's face. He was truly in a good mood after this 7-sect tournament. If I meet Su Yan after defeating Wuyo, I'll let her win. I hope you don't mind. Knight Soro explained, I'm not doing this to curry favor with hegemon clear sound. I owe my life to Su Yan. Regardless of whether or not it was hegemon clear sound's will, she was the one who gave me the talisman. Everyone can understand. Furthermore, Tianyun School has already taken first place in the 7-sect tournament. It doesn't matter if we don't take first place. Lu Qingyuan nodded. Everyone else also expressed their understanding. I wonder what the results of today's draw will be. On the day of the quarterfinals, everyone from Tianyun School sat in their seats and waited. As usual, Lu Qingyuan went to participate in the draw. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.